So did we settle on the order? Am I going first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll go. I'll bite the bullet for all of you guys. All right. All right. We ready?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to the Agents of Helm podcast, the only podcast that guarantees you high entertainment and low morals. If you like the podcast, and we hope you do, show your appreciation and subscribe to us. You can easily subscribe on iTunes as well as Android devices. Also, don't forget to check us out on agentsofhelm.com, as well as Facebook and Twitter at Agents of Helm. Again, thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Good evening. I hope everybody's doing just fine on this fine day sometime in June. Um, I am Lorenzo, and I am bringing you another episode of the Agents at Helm with my fellow agents, Joe, Johanna, Malik, and McKenna. This show is special. It's a show where we are going to highlight some expertise from our own agents, some stuff that you might not have even known that they were experts at. I don't know if that sentence makes any sense, but just to give you and quickly, everybody introduce yourself and just briefly give a sentence about what your area of expertise is today, because this is the What You Know show. And we're going to start with Joe.
Oh, so
What do you know, Joe?
you already did my intro. Well, I'm Joe, and today I'm going to talk about planning a vacation. It's now at this part. Am I going to go into detail, or are we just talking about like real quick? That's
Yeah,
what you
just
said,
like
right?
3 seconds, you know?
All right. I'm Joe, and today I'm going to talk about planning a vacation. It's probably one of the hardest things you do. The hardest part is the planning piece, and the actual vacation should be the fun part. But let's make the planning a little fun as well.
And specifically a family, a family
Family,
vacation. Is
yeah,
that right?
mine will be family oriented, and I was going to say that in the other piece, but yes, family oriented.
Okay, okay. And let's see, Johanna?
I'm Johanna, and my expertise is baking. So let's get a little sweet.
Great. And I can definitely vouch for her expertise. How about you, Malik? Excuse me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Malik, as you guys already know, and my specialty is football, more specifically fantasy football. So I'm going to give you guys some simple rules on what you can do to draft correctly, regardless of what league you're in, and really have a good time this season.
Great. And that leaves McKenna.
Hi, everybody. It's McKenna, and tonight I will be describing and trying to instruct as best as I can how to shred it up when you go snowboarding. So just kind of the things you need to watch out for, the things you need to prep for if you've never been out there before, and a couple of places that you can go over here on the East Coast.
Wow, that sounds great. So we're going to be talking vacays and bacon and fantasy football and a little shredding it, carving it up. That carving, right? You carve,
Yeah,
shred,
sure.
bomb. You bomb a hill. You bomb a hill, carve a shred. Snow,
Carve a shred.
carve a
In the
shred.
pow
Snow.
pow. Carve a shred in the pow pow.
Sounds good. Okay, well, without further ado, I know he's eager to get us all started and to kick things off. So we're gonna dive right in with my main man, Joe.
All right, so like I said earlier, today we're going to talk about planning a vacation. Again, it's the hardest part about going on vacation. Once this part is done, then you can have all the fun. So the first thing to do when you're planning a vacation is you got to decide where to go. Right now, I have a family, so usually my decisions are family oriented. Usually, some kind of amusement park, a beach, something where my child can go play and have a good time. So I'll give you an example. Uh, Last year, we planned our trip to Universal Studios. So Now the next piece would be like find an affordable flight. So with Universal Studios, we purchased one of those packages. Now, sure, could you probably find it cheaper if you were to book your flight separate, the hotel separate, stay off of the campus? Sure. Yeah, that a lot of people do that. Uh, they fly down separately and then book their hotel outside of like the Universal campus or even Disney because it is a lot cheaper. But I wanted to spend the big bucks, so I stayed on the Universal campus because I wanted to be able to get uh, the additional hours entry into the park. So if you stay on campus, you can go into the park an hour earlier. Uh, well, actually, 2 hours before the regular public can go in. So I found that very beneficial. So if you want to spend the extra money and stay on the campus, I would suggest, and it's probably the same at Disney as well, or usually some of these other big parks, but uh, that would be one thing. Okay, so we took care of the flights and the hotel there. Uh, Coordinating with family members, friends who are going to travel. Now, I don't know if you guys have been through this before. Let's say you want to plan a big vacation. When you start talking about it, everybody wants to go, right? Yeah, yeah, I'm in. I'm down. I'm going to do it. We're going to. When you start asking for money, then people start backing out. It's like, no, I don't think I can make it. All the excuses start flying out. But once you get your group down, and hopefully you're never going to be at the full group that you started out with. Let's say it's like 20 people. You'll be lucky if you get down to 10 people by the time it's all said and done. So coordinating with them, trying to get the money, and making sure dates work for everybody, because obviously we all have jobs, we all have different vacation, busy times of the year, and trying to coordinate all of that. And if you have kids, they're in school, so coordinating the time, the days off to actually take the trip. And then the last piece is the actual itinerary. This is where it can get tricky, especially if you're in a group. Not everybody wants to do the same thing all the time, right? That's a huge hurdle that you have to get over when you're going as a group. If you go, like if I just go with my family, there's only three of us. I mean, we would have a great time, but it's always more fun when you have extra friends or family members around to enjoy the vacation with. But it also adds the additional stress of having to plan an itinerary, trying to find something that everybody that they will like to do, and hopefully in times that people can actually stick to. Um, in the past, I planned a trip with our family to Hershey Park, and I was called the Vacation Nazi because I just want to get up and early and get to the parks and maximize the entire day. I think it's very important to maximize your day. If the park opens at 6, I will be there at 6 a.m. If it opens at 10 a.m., I'm going to be there at 10 a.m. I want to hit everything. Uh, there's no, I mean, you actually, even though you're getting up early, you're actually saving yourself time, because if you go early, you'll be done early. It gives you the rest of the day to do other things. If you get to the park in the afternoon, guess what? You're going to spend your whole afternoon there on lines. You probably won't you probably won't be able to go to a restaurant to have dinner, things like that, all because you went to the park late. So I always recommend getting there early. But if you go in a group, not everybody wants to get up at 6 a.m., which I experienced on my last trip. So not everybody wants to be there at 6 a.m. You just have to don't get too stressed out about it. You just got to know that different people want different things, and if they don't want to get up, then it's on them. And just agree to disagree, and maybe everybody do their own thing. That's a lesson I learned the hard way, because it's very difficult to get a whole group together thinking like-mindedly. It's much easier when you take cruises because you only have a certain length of time to enjoy the island. So usually everybody's pretty gung-ho about getting off right when you dock at a certain place. When you're on vacation, you're there for a few days, at the same place, you may not be as excited to get up early in the morning because you know you're going to be there for another 3 or 4 days. But I'll let you tell you, those days go by really fast. And then if you waste time and you don't get the opportunity to get on stuff that you want to do, you're going to lose it. So my thing is try to stick to the schedule, create a schedule, try to stick to it as best as possible so you can maximize your entire day and get everything out of the vacation that you wanted. Let me tell you, if you feel relaxed at the end of a vacation, you did something wrong because you should be wiped out. You should be tired, and you should be, when you get back from your vacation, you should be like, man, I need a vacation from my vacation. If you don't come back saying I need a vacation from my vacation, you did something wrong.
Wow,
And that's
Joe.
my 2 cents.
So okay. So I have just a quick question. When you're
Sure.
up at 6 in the morning,
Yes.
uh,
I'm at the park
who
at 6 in the morning. I'm up at 5.
who is with you out of your large group of 20
No, that 20
Latinos?
people, when we went to Universal, it wasn't 20. It was 7 of us. 7.
Uh-huh.
So, 3 right off
How
the
many
bat.
were with you when you were at the park at 6 in the morning?
Well, my wife and my daughter were with me.
Okay, that's good.
I got there at 6:15.
And they didn't really have a choice, is that right?
Yeah, they really didn't have a choice, really. But the other, a couple other people joined me the one time, or they came like at 7 o'clock. So here's the thing. So when you're the first one to get up and get online, of course, family members and friends are like, well, Joe's going to be online. When I get there, I'll just get on with him, right? So there's no,
And that's okay, right?
yeah, they're family, of course. It's okay, but it gets frustrating because you're like, hey, it's going to open up. Where are they? They better hurry up because if they're not here, I'm going in the park, and that's going to be that. Because what happens at that point if you go. Let's say I did go in the park. Let's say they showed up late and they open the gates and I go in the park. You know what happens then? Now I got to wait for them to get to the park. So it's not like I'm going to get online to go. I'm going to get online and get on the ride. I might, but chances are I also may wait for you. And you got to know where you're going to, because when I went to Harry Potter to get on the various Harry Potter rides at Universal, you can't play around in the summertime there. The place is packed. You got to be. If you wait till 9 o'clock, you're going to wait 3 hours. At 9 a.m., the line was 3 hours long to get on the new Green Gods ride, or it was new last year. 3 hours at 9 a.m. I did not want to stand online for 3 hours. That's what I talk about, saving time. I got there at 6 a.m. Granted, I lost some sleep, but I was on and off the ride by 8 a.m. I was done, finished. I didn't have to wait 3 hours. I waited 10 minutes. So that's what I mean. You don't get some sleep, but you get your time back later.
Right. Like you can sleep at work, I guess.
Exactly.
Does anybody else have any? Let's hear some questions for Joe.
I have a question.
Yes. Johanna. Lady in the
like-
front row, yes.
Just in a general amusement park sense,
Mhm.
what would be your game plan? Like what kind of rides do you hit first, and which ones should you wait for a little later in the afternoon?
Okay, so we'll use Universal Studios as an example because there are two different rides, right? There are rides that accept what is called Fast Pass. Fast Pass. If you stay on the campus, you get a Fast Pass, which allows you to get on the rides without staying online. You don't need to hit those rides right away because you can get on those at any time of the day, right? It's pointless. You got to get on the rides that don't allow Fast Pass, which is the Harry Potter rides and a couple of other ones, but mostly the Harry Potter rides. You don't mess around with those. You just go and you get on. Because it's not. If you wait, you're going to be waiting a long time. Obviously, you can't bring food to the park. I like to get to the park early because then I can leave at lunchtime, and you can go eat outside, go back to the hotel, let the kids do some swimming for a little while, then go back to the park when it's cooler, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Because usually those parks stay open till 10, right? So if you get there early, you stay there for 4 or 5 hours. Now you're talking it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Go back to the hotel, relax, have some drinks, let the kids swim in the pool, go inside, take a shower, go get some dinner, then go back to the park and finish off the rest of the night.
That
That
actually sounds like relaxing, just super planned. I am here for that.
Yeah, if you plan it correctly, you'll be able to do everything you want in the day. It's just trying to get everybody else on board. Because once one group knocks it out of whack, then the whole timing's out of whack.
So, Joe, to like kind of piggyback off of that, and you've mentioned it a couple of times about like the like groups of people going on this vacation. What would you say is too many people? Or like what if you end up planning a trip, right, and all these people who you've invited, they don't end up backing out. They're all going. Like what do you need to kind of like be aware of or avoid if you're going to have all those people with you?
Well, at that I would say if you have like a ton of people going, then you make your own itinerary at that point. You don't plan for 20 people because you're never going to get 20 people on the same page. I mean, I don't want to say never. Yes, it can be done. You may be able to agree on dinner and stuff like that, but I guarantee you a certain percentage of those people are going to be late, right?
Mm.
Anything you plan, a certain percentage, I'll just say half to be nice, are going to be late. Uh, so if you're planning something, I would always build in a cushion for that kind of stuff. I mean, if the time is real sensitive, with that large of a group, I wouldn't make anything time sensitive because you'll never get. Hey, that's the ESPN alert. There's no. There's no. It'll be very difficult to keep everybody on the same schedule. So I would just say everybody do what you're gonna do. Let's at least try to have dinner together. You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
and we're gonna go. Hey, group. This group of people are gonna go here today. Who wants to go here? We're gonna go do this. Who wants to go do that? You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna
Totally.
split up. It's hard to keep that amount of people together because not everybody has the same interests.
Malik, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so, so kind of to that point about not everybody having the same interest. How do you? And this is a problem that I find that I have on a regular basis whenever I go on my trips is how do you designate which adults in the pack are going to be stuck with the kids? Because because generally speaking, what winds up happening is the youngest of the group, and it's usually me, has to deal with the kids because either A, no one that likes to go on the roller coaster, so I'm the only one that likes roller coasters, so I wind up having to go on roller coasters and stand on lines with the kids. So how do you designate that, especially when you have a large group? Is there any way that we can kind of manage so that you're not stuck with the kids the entire trip?
Well, Malik, when you say kids, these if they can get on roller coasters, they're of size then, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You're talking like 12,
probably a 10,
10,
12. Yeah,
12.
starting anywhere. I would say starting anywhere from 8 until 13, because after that they can kind of go off on their own.
Yeah, I mean they're not old enough to go on their own yet, but they're big enough to get on the rides,
Right,
and they're gonna
exactly.
need adult supervision. Now, if their parents don't get on the rides, it's up to Uncle Malik to take them on the rides. Unfortunately, that's a hard. That's you're between a rock and a hard place there because you can't pawn them off because you're the only one getting on the rides. And the kids want to get on the rides and they need adult supervision. I think what you need to do is try to find somebody else to bring them along with you that will get on rides.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
I
got it.
mean, Malik, at least you're not stuck with like the strollers.
Yeah, I think the
Uh,
person who doesn't get on rides has it bad. Well, the person who doesn't get on rides has it bad when everybody else gets on rides, right? Because they're left holding the teddy bear that little Timmy won at the with the balloon pop thing or whack-a-mole. um, they're left stuck holding all the purses and the bags and all that crap because nobody wants to use the lockers. Um, I'd rather be you, Malik, and get on the rides than the person who doesn't get on rides and just hangs out and holds all the bags.
Those lines are so long, and it's so hot during the
It
summers
is.
when you're standing on line for 45 minutes for a ride that's going to take 35 seconds.
That's why
Um,
you should have been there at 6 a.m., Malik. It would have been cooler, and there would have been less people in line.
That's right.
yeah, maybe,
That's
well,
right.
maybe I'll try it when I go to a bigger park, maybe.
Yeah, but
Oh,
like Six Flags over here doesn't open until like 10, so you have no choice. I mean, a later opening is just means more people.
Yeah, that sucks.
This
um,
means more people.
okay, and then I guess one last question, Joe. How do you feel about I know you're a bit of a photographer. How do you feel about the pictures that I know, like a lot of places, when you go in, they take your picture, and when you're going down the roller coaster, they take your picture. Are you for those or against those?
Um, okay, the people that stop you when you walk into the park, yeah, I find myself being very polite and I pose for the picture anyway, knowing that I'm not going to buy it. But the ones on the roller coasters and the other stuff, that's pictures you can't take. So I'm for those.
Hmm.
Again, you have the option to buy it or not. But there's no way you're going to get yourself on the roller coaster coming down the hill with your hands up in the air. I
Not
mean,
even with the selfie stick.
not even with the selfie stick.
Okay.
But what I hope to do, what I would like to do, I don't know if it's allowed. Are you allowed to wear GoPros on the roller coaster?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they can't stop you. You just put it in your pocket, and then you can just take it out and put it on, I guess. You
Yeah.
do it, right? Just
Well,
put it on
actually,
your head.
no, actually, they don't allow cameras anymore. Because people have lost their devices and tried. Well, people have lost their devices and tried to make the park pay for it, and two, people have lost their devices and of course they fall and they hit people waiting at the bottom.
Yeah, just keep it on the down low, Joe, and you'll be fine.
Keep it down
Make
though?
sure you
Yeah, yeah.
latch it securely.
I'm going to try to ride Playland this summer.
That'll be fun. That'll be real fun. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Joe, for that. Because it is summertime. People are planning their vacations. It sounds
Definitely.
like you've already got your vacation planned out in depth and full
Yep.
for the next 3 or 4 summers. So, congrats to
I'm
you.
ready.
Um, Nothing about it though sounds relaxing. So I think our
I said
definitions of
that's.
vacation may be fundamentally different.
If you come
But
back relaxed, you did something wrong.
I think there's one thing that we can all agree on, though. You bake in an oven. So, Johanna, tell us a little bit about that.
So I figured the best way to talk about baking is by talking us through a recipe. The recipe I want to talk us through is the skillet upside down cake, which is actually it's my husband's favorite cake that I make, and as a lot of you know, I make a lot of cakes. um, so yeah, I like this one. It's simple, but it's kind of dangerous, and you'll see why. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to melt 6 tablespoons of luscious butter into a skillet. Now you want to make sure that it's a skillet that you can hold with both hands and with one, and I'll explain it to you later. So you might want to use like a stainless steel as opposed to cast iron. Um,
Because it's
and oh,
lighter.
yeah, because it's lighter. Now I think the recipe calls for cast iron, but that's bullshit. No one can hold that and invert it. So and you're going to turn your oven on to 375. You don't want to end up with a cold oven, and your cake will bake unevenly. If the oven isn't exactly the temperature that you need it, don't do it. So you're melting the butter in the skillet, and you're letting it turn into this fragrant, nutty brown, like it should be nice. It has a particular like nutty smell. It smells warm. It smells wonderful. Don't let it turn black, obviously. If you're a little concerned about it turning not too brown, just turn it off. It'll turn a little more brown and cook, even though the heat isn't on. So then you're gonna take your fruit, because this has fruit on top, and you can do 3 cups of almost any fruit. My suggestion is that you use frozen because it's a lot cheaper. And if you try to do 3 cups of like fresh blackberries, that's a shitload of money. I think I've only done it once, and I think I was just lazy. So you put your fruit. It can be berries, it can be peaches, it can be, I like a mix of berries, or I've done pineapple too.
Now, do you cut the pineapple up before you add it?
Oh, dear me, yes you do. I once spent a couple of hours doing that because I had a student who was allergic to strawberries. So there I was, cutting it up. Um, so yeah, so you're going to pour the butter into a separate container. Don't do plastic. I sound like Elton Brown, I just realized. Um, and because he gives all of these asides that kind of scare the fuck out of you, so I'll stop.
No,
You're
it's
gonna
good. No plastic.
No plastic.
Yeah,
It'll
people should know.
melt.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is do not wipe out the skillet. You're going to sprinkle brown sugar all over it. So about a half a cup. Brown. I only use brown in all of my cooking. It makes everything really nice and moist. I don't bother with white sugar. So
Are we still talking about cooking, or have we switched to cocaine and heroin?
you gotta get that difficult brown, man.
Brown sugar, baby.
So sprinkling it over, you take your fruit. You want to make sure that it's even because that is going to be the top layer of your cake. So then you're going to mix together. This cake calls for half all-purpose flour, half whole wheat. Sometimes I'll make it with all whole wheat. If you do that, it tastes what people call healthy. It doesn't have the same texture as like what you would call cake, but I like it. Though if you do it half and half, then it's a little more dessert-like. You're going to mix that with the salt, with a quarter teaspoon of baking soda. That does some shit that I still don't know does. And baking powder, who knows what the fuck that shit does, but just stick it in there.
Johanna, you're forgetting the number one rule of the What Do You Know show.
Okay, so the baking soda and the powder are leaveners and lifters. So you're going to add the white sugar, quote unquote, 3/4 of a cup. Don't use it. Use brown sugar. I think it tastes so much better and sweeter. And you're going to want to mix your dry ingredients first and then your wet ingredients. Usually the sugar is not considered a dry ingredient. It goes in with the wet. And it makes this almost caramel-like thing when you mix it with butter and you mix it with egg. So dry, flours, salt, soda, baking powder. Another bowl, your brown sugar with the butter that you so deliciously browned together, and you're going to whisk, and you can imagine there's a beautiful smell coming out of that. And then you're going to whisk in an egg, and you have two choices here. One is kind of the healthier choice, I would think, is the plain yogurt at 3/4 of a cup, or you can do buttermilk. Don't ever buy buttermilk. It is a waste of fucking money. You can make it at home. It's 1 cup milk to a tablespoon of vinegar. You let it curdle for 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. Don't fucking buy buttermilk. Okay? If you learn anything from this journey I am taking you on, you do not buy buttermilk. Don't buy it. You can make it the fuck yourself.
Got it.
So you're going to pour the wet ingredients in the bowl with the dry ingredients. You're going to whisk. In some recipes, you don't want to whisk too much because it can make the cake tough. This is already going to be a bit of a like solid cake, so whisk that fucker up real thoroughly. Okay, but other cakes, like for example, angel food cake.
Johanna, that's gonna be my new when I'm gonna whisk you the fuck up.
I'm gonna whisk you the fuck up.
Wait, watch out. Sorry.
It's okay. Like an angel food cake or something like that, you're gonna just want to do it until just combined. This you can really just go to town with the fucking whisk. So what you have now is a batter. It should kind of look like more of a muffin batter than a pancake batter. If you've gone too far, too much liquid. If you see it that way, what I do when something like that happens is I add flour indiscriminately. If it's too dry, add milk. So over the fruit in the skillet, slide the skillet into the oven, bake for half an hour. Use a fork in the middle. Never do it around because it's hotter in the edges and the corners than it is in the middle. You want to do the middle. And if it's still not cooked in the middle, you got to keep going. So you take it out and you're going to let it cool for 10 minutes. And the next part is the reason why I hardly ever make this cake anymore. You're going to take the skillet once it's cooled with like enough glove or something really thick. You're gonna hold it, and then you're gonna invert. You're gonna put the plate over the skillet, and then you're gonna invert the cake. So I've done this. There have been quite a few times that I've burned myself doing this because my hand has been at the wrong angle or whatever. This is why I'm telling you, don't use a fucking cast iron skillet. That is just a recipe for disaster. There are other cakes you can make in a cast iron skillet, and that's fine because you're not inverting them. But what you should have now, so you put the plate over the skillet and you invert them at the same time, you remove the skillet, and you should have this. It's not going to be a super fluffy cake. It'll be more flat with this beautiful layer of fruit and the brown butter, and it's ready to go. Eat it warm. I've also eaten it for breakfast when I do the yogurt and the whole wheat, just 100% whole wheat. And that's it. That's how you make an upside down skillet cake.
That sounds like not too hard and
Good.
delicious. How long do you leave it in the oven for?
Half an hour.
Got it. Okay. Well, that sounds great. I just have one. I have one question for you. What brand of
Brand of what?
Yeah, my question is, what brand of buttermilk would you recommend?
None, because you're making your own.
Right. Okay. Well, does anybody else have any other questions?
Yes. So, Johanna, I may have missed it. What are you using on the skillet to make it non-stick? Are you just using Pam? Are you greasing it with something else?
The butter, man.
The butter.
Excuse me, that's a question for me. It is a little confusing because you take the brown butter out of the skillet, but you don't wipe out the skillet. So what happens is when you add the sugar and you add the fruit, it creates like this fruit syrup. Do you know what I mean? Like the fruit gets really nice and gushy, so that that layer is in between the cake and the fruit and the skillet. So there's really no nonstick unless you've done it wrong.
Okay, so if you overcook it, then if you slightly overcook it, it could fall apart.
No, really, what you be more in danger of is like not applying the fruit evenly, or the sugar evenly, or if you accidentally wipe out the skillet. If you really want to be absolutely safe, although I wouldn't do it because of the flavor, you could put a layer of Pam on the skillet. I really don't think it's necessary, though.
Great.
Okay.
What about you, McKenna? You have any questions?
Well, because you said what fruit was it that you usually put in?
Berries. Like I usually, if I'm getting frozen berries, I'll get like a mix. I'll usually do blackberries and mostly blackberries, blueberries, raspberries is what I usually do.
So is there anything that you would like completely advise against? Like either you tried it once or it would just like make everything like hard on yourself? Any fruit that you should avoid?
Let me think. See, there's a lot of fruits that are suggested. I wouldn't pick anything like super juicy. Oh,
like
I wouldn't.
Pineapple or something like that.
Pineapple works for whatever reason.
You just gotta remember to cut it up before you put it in.
You gotta cut it up. I would say oranges. You probably don't want to put on there because that's watermelon. You wouldn't want to use those fruits because they really are almost all like there's very little fiber except for the fibrous parts of the orange. Pineapple is like a lot of fiber. Does that make any sense? So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I wouldn't use watermelon. I wouldn't use whichever one I said before that. Watermelon, oranges.
Coconut might be good.
That's where you get into the issue of the non-stick though.
Oh,
because
I see.
you're not getting any juice out of the watermelon. I mean, the coconut.
Yeah, you can get a big old bag of organic mixed berries from frozen from Costco for not that much, and you could make probably 20 of these with one of those bags.
Exactly. And then you could, take them to the office, give me a little break, or
Right. So I think the big takeaway from this is that everybody has to make one and bring it to the office so that Johanna doesn't have to.
exactly.
Um, that's great. Malik, you have a question?
Well, actually, that was my one of my questions. It tied into one of my questions. You said you didn't like making this very often, so can you make one for us at least?
You make like, yeah, 3 to 4 for us.
I did make it once and brought it to the office.
Yeah, I don't think I got that.
I
So
think it was the Thanksgiving potluck. Yeah,
mm,
I made it.
yeah, I wasn't
Maybe.
there. I wasn't there for that.
So
Now,
it sounds
can,
like this week is skillet flipping
Uh,
cake week.
Yeah, skillet flip cake week. Johanna, one more question.
uh-huh.
Um, did you do you said you used oil, right? At all? Use oil?
No, I didn't.
Were you
Sometimes,
listening at all, Joe?
Yes. I just want me, sometimes when you bake a cake, you use oil,
yeah,
and
sometimes you use oil. Here the yogurt is standing in place of the oil.
and when you've made other cakes, have you ever used in place of oil like applesauce or something?
Yes, I've used applesauce and I've used mashed bananas.
Mashed bananas.
Yeah,
So bananas. When you add bananas, it makes just everything taste like bananas.
yeah, no, that's what I was about to say is using applesauce is better unless you're making something that you want to taste like bananas. But yeah, applesauce is a good one.
so I actually have two. I actually have two questions. The first one is this? You said you don't like making this very often. Is this the best cake that you make? Number one, and secondly, is this a cake that I can have with like a nice alcoholic beverage? And if so, what should I put it with?
Okay, I'll answer the first one. This one's a very good one because I've made it often. I think I got a little shy about it because of that one time I really burned myself real bad. I had a scar for like a year. I also think I make a really good cinnamon bread. I tend to like try not to like. I think cinnamon bread is something that I've made that's really good. I Yeah, I mean, I didn't eat it because I'm allergic, but I made this peach bun once with homemade peach preserves. That looked really good and juicy.
So
So,
you made it, but you didn't eat it because you were allergic?
yeah, I had a jar of homemade peach preserves and I needed to do something with it, so I put it in a cake and I brought it to work.
That's so nice of you. Make something that'll pretty much that you pretty much can't eat, and
Oh, I
And it'll kill you.
it'll kill you. Right? Exactly.
Oh, and the other question is, yes, it's a very like hearty cake. So I would probably have it with like a dark beer, but not something malty. Actually, maybe I would. Actually, I'd probably drink it with something like God, I can see it in my head. It's a German beer.
Hogarden?
And
Is Hogarden a German
Hogarden, yes, Hogarden. I would have it with a Hogarden.
I just had a Hogarden recently. It's good
They're very good.
stuff.
Great. Okay. Well, that's terrific. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Let's see. We're trying to do alphabetical, so that would be my man Malik. You're up.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to go into a very, very important time of the year. We talked about summer movies. Summer movie season is already started. Um, Basketball, the NBA Finals is going on right now, and that's going to be over really soon. Baseball is currently in the mix, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about football, and I'm talking about specifically fantasy football. So teams have been drafted. Free agency has already happened. Your team, if you have a team, has already, pretty much built out who the team is going to be. And now it's time to start considering and thinking about whether or not you're going to join a fantasy football league. Now, if you've never done a fantasy football league before, the idea of jumping into something brand new, and whether you are spending money on it or just spending time on it, it can be relatively daunting. Well, there's a so many, and there's so many ways, there's so many books, there's so many magazines, there's so many podcasts, there's so many stories about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And I know it can get really, really scary, so I just wanted to give you guys a few tips to go into your fantasy football league season. And if it's the first time, that'll guarantee that you'll have a good time when you do your draft. You'll build a relatively decent team, and you'll enjoy the actual season, and it might actually help you enjoy football even more, even if you're not a true football fan. So first and foremost, there's four major types of fantasy football leagues. There's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different ways that you can customize the league, but the major types of league are redraft leagues, which are the most common types of leagues. These are the leagues where every season you have a team, and then at the end of that season, all the players from that team go back into a pile, and then the next season you draft them all over again. The next version are keeper leagues. Keeper leagues are leagues where you're allowed to keep a player or two players or three players from your previous season if you want to keep them and bring them along. There's usually other rules associated with that as well, but I won't get into that right now because I don't want to confuse you guys. The last one is dynasty leagues, or the next one is dynasty leagues. Dynasty leagues are really interesting leagues where you're basically, the general manager or the owner of your own organization. So what you basically do is you start the team, you build it out, and it's a full-on keeper team. You get to keep everybody that's on that team if you want to go from year to year and build the team out. So you can get really young players or older guys, and you can adjust contracts and things of that sort. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more intensive, so I wouldn't suggest a first-time person to jump into it, but it can be a lot of fun, and you can get really, really immersed into it. And the last version is a one-day league. Now, these are relatively new. I'd say over the last 10 years or so, one-day leagues have started to really, really jump in popularity. These are generally pay leagues. These are generally leagues where you pay to join the league, and then you build out a team. And then basically what happens is that team is available for you for those 2 days, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, when the games are played. And then whoever scores the most points, if you get the most points, you get a cash reward. Some of these leagues are $1, $2. They can range to $25 for 1 day leagues. Those are a lot of fun. You can really win a lot of money. I mean, there's people that make careers out of doing this stuff, but it's gambling nonetheless. So if you don't want to really gamble, it's probably not your speed. Like I said, there's other leagues that you can join, there's other leagues that you can do, but these are the four major types that are out there. And like I said, redraft is probably the most common. There's a bunch of websites out there that you can join. Joining a fantasy football league is absolutely free in most instances, with the exception of the one-day leagues. But you can do ESPN, NFL, CBS. There's all kinds of different versions. You can feel free to go on whichever ones you want. So here are the rules for drafting a fantasy football team. Like I said, these are just simple rules that you can go by that will help you figure out how to build the team and build the team the right way, and then enjoy your season after that. Number one, buy a book. But remember, it's not the Bible. You don't have to live by the scripture. These books are based on statistics and video from a previous season, and the people that are writing a lot of this stuff are guessing just as much as you are. Number two, the books are right about one thing. Running backs are like diamonds, and diamonds are a fantasy girl or guy's best friend. The more you have, the better. However, just like diamonds, they have grades based on their quality. Also, if you get a guy that your research lists say is a stud, be sure to get that guy's backup. Check out who he is, just in case, because one thing about football, guys get hurt a lot. Number three, pay attention to how points are allocated in your league. Some leagues have more points for passing touchdowns, others rely heavily on yardage or give points for every catch, while some even give bonus points for big performances. Knowing how your league gives out points is a good way to set up your strategy. Number four, the ladies love the quarterbacks, and so should you. Your quarterback is likely either going to keep your team afloat or tear the whole fucking thing down. But don't panic if you miss out on the top 2 or 3 guys. Just because the guy that you actually wind up picking is not the guy in the Papa John's commercials and he's not sporting a discount, double check. There's plenty of people that will do perfectly fine. You just got to, figure out who the starter is. Don't go out there and get a backup as your number 1 quarterback, because he's probably not going to play. Make sure that the guy that you're picking is actually a starter. Number 5, Age is important. Like most porn stars, running backs don't age well. So youth is a key right there. Young quarterbacks make more mistakes, and veteran wide receivers and tight ends are dependable, but they're high injury risk. So make sure that you know how old guys are that you're getting. You don't want a whole bunch of old dudes on your squad, just like you don't want a whole bunch of young dudes who are going to be making a bunch of mistakes. It's good to get a good mixture if you can. Uh, 6. No matter what anybody tells you, kickers get picked last. They are the last guys that are getting picked. There will always, if you're a rookie in this thing, there will always be somebody in your league telling you to pick up the kicker from that team. And don't panic just because that roster spot is empty on your team. Just wait till the last round when everybody's pick their players and just grab a kicker. Last thing, it's called fantasy for a reason. Point predictions are as reliable as bodega condoms. Set your lineup and walk away. You will destroy your Sunday and Monday nights because some jerk off in his mom's basement said your top player was going to score 25 points and then he goes and drops 9 passes. So go have a beer and a burger, watch the games, and check it on Tuesday morning. And if you lose, just shut the fuck up. But if you win, dance on your opponent's grave. So those are the 6 major or 7 major rules of fantasy football. I think that if you walk into there with these 7 rules, you will be perfectly fine. Buy yourself a magazine and have a good time. Fantasy football is a lot of fun. You will enjoy the shit out of it. I personally have done it for the last 10 to 12 years, probably even more than that. And I can honestly say sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. I think I've only won like 2 or 3 championships, but I'm always in it, and you're always able to be in it. But just remember, it's fantasy. It's gambling. If you're putting money into it, it's gambling. If you're not putting any money into it, it's fun, and it's going to help you learn something about the sport. And if you don't already like the sport, I'm sure you will if you play a fantasy league. So those are my rules.
Great. Thanks, Malik. That is very helpful. I guess one question I would ask is, let me see. I'm getting a little bit of echo. I don't know if it's me because my volume is too high, but if you guys could turn your volumes down a little bit, it might be helpful. But anyway, so I guess the one question I would ask is, more specifically, which league would you recommend? Like, go ahead and don't be afraid to drop names or whatever. Which league specifically would you recommend? And was there a league that you had a bad experience with that you would say stay away from?
So you're talking about a specific site or a specific
right? I'm sorry. Yeah, a specific site.
Okay, so I would say that the best site for fantasy football that I've had experience with thus far has been Yahoo. Yahoo, even though it's probably like 5th on the search engines now, it's actually probably first on the fantasy football stuff. It's really it builds itself. It actually winds up building itself like every year. It adds things that. It adds things that they didn't have previously, and they actually a lot of the people at Yahoo, they listen to the suggestions of their fans. So just for instance, a couple of years ago, a lot of fans were really upset that Yahoo did not track the number of targets a player would get. And targets are basically how many times a quarterback throws the ball at a specific guy. That information is available on other sites, but just wasn't available on Yahoo. And that information is actually really important because if a guy gets a lot of balls thrown to him, then he's clearly going to he's going to reap the benefits eventually of that many targets. And if for whatever reason his targets are down, it goes hand in hand. So Yahoo, had made changes to their site and added that piece to their site. ESPN is also a very good one. It's built itself over the years. I think ESPN, that their initial take on it was that it wasn't going to be a huge thing, so they didn't put a lot of effort into it. And as fantasy football has grown over the last 20 some odd years, they really stepped up their game and started to put more people onto the making of the website, but also a lot of their quote unquote experts that talk about the game and talk about fantasy football. They do a weekly or daily podcast during football season about plenty of different topics that really might not mean anything to you. But they're pretty good. The NFL Network has a good one as well. One I would say that I did not have a good experience with was CBS. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So CBS has probably gotten better since then. I don't know. Oh, sorry, did not say I don't know. CBS has probably gotten a lot better since then. I would say that you can give it you can give it a chance. But my biggest issue with them was they didn't have a lot of the articles that they had. They didn't have a lot of original articles. A lot of the articles that they had were based off of other sites. So if I'm going to your site and just clicking on a link and I'm getting ESPN, then what the fuck am I going to your site for, right? So that was pretty much the deal there. So I would say avoid CBS if you can, but if not, ESPN, NFL, and especially Yahoo. And Yahoo and ESPN also have an app where you can do it from your phone.
Yeah, I always get confused why Yahoo still exists, but so I guess maybe that's why because they got a
It pretty much lives
fantasy
off
football.
of that stuff in Yahoo Business. Yahoo Business is still pretty important.
Joe, questions?
Sure. So Malik, what would you say to the newbie coming into fantasy football? Who watches football but doesn't really play who's never played fantasy, and says, defense is a very important part of the game. Shouldn't I draft defense early?
So I would say to that person, no, absolutely fucking not. Do not draft defense early unless it's like the top 2 or 3 defenses that are in the entire league. And the other reason why I would say no is that, like I said earlier, all of the information is based off of the previous season. Guys, especially when you're drafting a team that does team defenses, what happens is guys leave teams, people get traded, people get cut, people get drafted, so that there's new guys in places where the old guys were. So relying on just the fact that a defense was really, really good last season may not necessarily work for you this season. They may be complete differences, overhauls, coaches getting fired, new systems, things like that. So I would say, if you can, take a look at the book that you've purchased. Look at the list. The top team, the top defenses will be there, and then just pick one, and then pick a backup. More likely than not, you're going to spend a lot of time flip-flopping your defenses throughout the course of the season, so you're probably not going to be sticking with one throughout the whole year unless it's a really, really good one. The last thing I'd say for a newbie as well, if you're a fan of the Giants or if you're a fan of the Patriots, don't draft a whole bunch of fucking Patriots because don't draft a whole bunch of fucking Giants because the NFL has bye weeks and at some point in time during the course of a season, your team will go on its bye week, and when it does that, if you have 7 guys from your team and they all start, well, guess what? 7 guys aren't going to play. Now you're going to have to find some way to backfill. And if those 7 guys are really good, you're going to have to probably end up cutting or trading one of the guys that you really, really like in order to set up a lineup that actually plays. So be mindful that you're not picking a lot of guys from your team over and over and over again because it can wind up biting you in the ass later.
Good. Yeah, it's good advice. Johanna, you have any questions?
Yes. So let's say you wanted to play fantasy football or be in the league or whatever. Are there any websites that are comprehensive and giving you stats on the players and stuff? I'm asking for a friend. Just for a friend.
So I would say to your friend, a lot of the sites, all of the sites that pretty much host fantasy football. So like I said earlier, Yahoo, ESPN, all of those sites, and NFL, they also provide a lot of statistics for the players. But kind of like what I said earlier, a lot of those stats, a lot of those numbers, if you're not a heavy numbers person and you're not really into it like that, it can get pretty daunting. So I would say the best bet for a brand new fantasy person is to go out to your local, Barnes and Noble or something like that, and buy one of those fantasy football magazines. They're pretty. They've got a shitload of pictures, and most importantly, they have usually a breakdown of players. They do like a 1 to 35 of all of the running backs, and then you can look at the names, and then you can run down those names, and you can just pick, and you can read about the player if it interests you. You can read about the player, and then you can say, okay, I want this guy. And then and some of these magazines will also give you a projected round where they should be selected. So if you're in the first round of your draft, you might be looking at these 4 guys. If they're in the third round of your draft, you may be looking at these 3 guys, something along those lines. So that'll help you really figure it out. Plus, I think one of the other things is when you're in your draft, it's really, really difficult when you're actually in your draft to go and check websites because you usually have about 2 to 5 minutes in between your pick to make a pick. So if you have a book in front of you and you can turn a page, or you've got things highlighted, it's easy to just kind of go by your highlighted guys and just pick the next guy down.
Great. McKenna, do you have any last questions for Malik?
Yes, I do, Malik. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. My ex-boyfriend was a huge fantasy football player. Like he absolutely loved it, and I would go out with him, like especially like if we were out to brunch or whatever, we were hanging out, and he would constantly be getting the alerts and checking scores on how his guys had done, and mind you, I could have been a little bit more interested. Like, I could have, because I'm not a huge football fan, like, I could have, like, asked a little bit more. But I felt like he kind of, like, didn't want to share that with me or, like, any of that information or, like, explain to me what he was doing. And I was interested. Like, I would have enjoyed, like, either helping or, like, be, like doing it with him or something. So my question is it likely, or are there ways for, like, husbands and wives or couples or, like, friends to, like, go in on it together, or is it more just, like, a get the fuck out of my way, I'm in it to win it, like, every man for himself? Like, how would you suggest that that problem be remedied?
So I would say if you are the girlfriend or the wife of a fantasy football player and you're not heavily into football yourself, this is one of those areas where he does not need you at all. He does not. He does not need your insight. He does not need your suggestion, because the most important thing that you need to remember is if he takes any of your suggestions and they fuck up, you are the one being blamed for it. So that's the most important thing to remember.
So really, it's more like in our interest, like for our safety.
For the safety of your relationship, this is his. If he's is into it as your ex-boyfriend was, this is his avenue. This is his area. Just let him live with it, and most importantly, leave him alone on Tuesday. Leave him alone on Monday nights. Because if he's watching the game on Monday nights, there's a 90% chance that one of the guys that's playing in that Monday night game is the difference between him winning or losing a game. And so if that guy is playing, if that guy is out there and he's running around and he's doing his thing, your guy might be very, very happy. If that guy is out there making mistakes and fucking up, your guy might be close to suicide. And so there's the give and take there when it comes to it. Now, as far as kind of to expand on your question a little bit, as far as like people getting together and doing a fantasy football team together, I have done that before. I've joined in on a fantasy league with a couple of friends of mine, because the league itself cost, like, I think it was like $150 a team. And so what we did was we put our money together. So each guy did like $30-$40 or whatever, and we put it in together, and we had one team that kind of we all represented. And so week to week, what we would do is we would give the responsibility of setting the lineup to one person, and then they would set the lineup, send it out to the rest of the guys, and then we'd have a discussion, yay or nay, on different players, and then at the very end on Friday night or well, now it's Thursday game, so on Thursday afternoon you come to an agreement. Okay, these are the 10 guys or 12 guys that we're going to put in, and we're going to play them. If you have that kind of a friendship and that kind of a relationship with people, it's okay. But if you don't, just remember, a lot of people take fantasy football way too fucking seriously. And so if you don't have that kind of really, really good friendship with them at some point in time, especially if you're not really heavily into football, just kind of let them do their thing and back away quietly. But I would say, if you really want to have a good time, do it yourself. There's nothing better than picking a bunch of guys putting a team together and seeing your squad win. It's a great feeling. So that's what I would suggest.
Great. That sounds like great advice, Malik. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge about fantasy football. We're gonna turn our attention. Oh, does anybody else have any questions for Malik? Okay. Well, we're gonna turn our attention now to McKenna, and McKenna's gonna enlighten us on the ways of the Winter X Games.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm definitely gonna give you guys as much knowledge as I have. So
McKenna, let me
I,
just stop you real quick and ask
yeah,
Joe a quick question. Joe, do you hear McKenna? Does she sound okay to you on your side?
Sometimes she sounds like she's talking through a radio.
Are you is there any like thing that you're doing while you're talking, McKenna, that might affect the quality of of
what do you mean? Like, I'm just sitting here.
yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of it's coming. You sound better at sometimes, and you don't sound as better at other times. I'm not sure exactly.
Is this okay now?
It's crazy how it's just like I guess can you talk for like like a few sentences?
Yeah, I don't know what would be changing. I mean, I'm on my headphones. I don't know if that does anything, but I'm not moving around or anything. I'm just sitting in the same spot.
Yeah, is it possible that maybe as you're moving or whatever that like the mouth the microphone is changing its position away from your face?
Yeah, here it might be. Let me situate it so that it's like more pinned to me or something like
That
that.
sounds better right there.
Is that better?
It did sound better.
I'm now like holding the mic like up to my face, basically.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I'll just do it like this. Um, okay, so in terms of winter sportery, I'm going to be talking today about snowboarding, and I wouldn't by any means say that I am an expert on snowboarding, but I'm proficient. I've been snowboarding for about, oh my God, 12 years now, 10 years. And I used to go up a lot
So
more when I,
since you were 4.
since I was 4. What? 12 years. Shut up. Are you just making fun of me?
No, never.
Shut up. 12 years. Yes, I started when I was 12 years old. So I've been snowboarding for 12 years, and my whole family does it. My dad and my stepmom are awesome. They're fantastic. They actually learned from Olympians, and my younger brother, does it as well. And now my little brother snowboards. So the whole family snowboards, and they're actually awesome. But I will pass on all of the knowledge that I have, that I've kind of accrued over the 12 years. So. I mostly snowboarded in California, in the Sierra Nevada. Right off the bat, one of the things that I can tell you is that snowboarding really varies. Your experience is going to vary depending on where you are. Like, for example, snowboarding on the East Coast is a little bit different because the mountains aren't as large, the runs aren't as long. So I might not be able to do a Black Diamond run, at Sugar Bowl or North Star in the Sierra Nevada, but I might be able to do one here in the Catskills. So if you're a little bit nervous about your level at one location, it might be a completely different level in another location, and depending on the conditions and the day, and how much you've had to drink and how much sleep you got, it's all going to vary. So if one day you think that you're a blue runner and one day you're a Black Diamond, it's completely fine. You just gotta have to listen to yourself. Um, the next thing I'm going to go over a little bit is
Well,
picking.
I'm sorry, McKenna.
Go ahead.
I'm just think maybe if everybody mutes their mics, Joe, do you think that might help just to like give her more bandwidth, possibly?
Yeah, I don't know if muting the mic is gonna do that.
Am I skipping?
It, it might be like an issue with your connection.
I'm
If
sitting
you
right next to my thing,
Yeah, I don't
and I
know.
can hear you guys.
Yeah, let's. I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna mute my microphone. Guys, mute your mics. I know Malik's already got his mic mute, just to see if that could possibly make a difference. I know anyway. Okay.
Okay. Am I good now to keep going? All right. Well, you're all on mute, so I'm going to just keep going. Okay, so the next little part that I'm going to talk about before I actually get to the snowboarding part is picking your gear. I have my own board and boots and stuff like that. So when I go up, there's the benefit to owning your own stuff because you're not waiting in line for the rentals when you get up to the ski place. You're not worrying about what kind of condition the rentals are in, which is really nice. But mostly you're saving time. You get to just you know get your stuff up there, strap in, and go, which is really nice. But not every, you have the other side of it is you have to think, okay, well, how often am I going to go up? Am I willing to spend whatever I'm willing to spend on it? A nicer board is going to run you a couple $100. Nicer boots are going to run you a couple $100. So if you're willing to invest in it, you think you're going to go up a bunch, I strongly suggest buying your own gear. If you're only going up to try it, or you're just going up because you were invited, renting is like totally acceptable and probably advised. Just a real quick thing, because I'm in love with them and I'm just going to talk about it. I have flow bindings, which means there's a couple of different kinds of bindings that you can get on a board. You can get crank, what I call crank. I don't know if that's the official name for them, but crank bindings, which you are kind of like old rollerblades, where you like stick the plastic piece in and you like crank it up so it like goes like cranker, 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 on your feet. The downside to cranks, and those are like the cheapest and the most common, but the downside to cranks is that you have to sit down every time you put them on, so your butt gets really cold by the end of the day. Whereas flow bindings, you just stick your foot into the binding and you just pop up the heel of the binding and it locks into place, so you don't even have to sit down. You can just literally like shove your foot in, bend over, pop it in, and just like keep going. You don't even have to stop when you get off the lift. Your board should be, just as a rule of thumb, it kind of depends on what it is that you're looking to do. If you want to be doing more tricks and stuff like that, you want a little bit shorter board and you want your feet to be positioned a little bit differently than if you're just beginning, or if you're just kind of cruising, in which case you'd want a little bit longer board and you want your feet to be facing a certain way. But mostly you want your boards to be at about your chin height. So however tall you are, and then you always hear, I don't know if this is like a normal thing, but you'll start hearing people ask if you're a regular rider or a goofy rider, which just means do you lead with your left foot or do you lead with your right foot? I believe right foot is goofy, left foot is regular. I'm a regular rider. So once you've got your gear, you want to research where it is you're going. Just as a suggestion, since I've been here in New York, I've actually gone up on the Paragon Sports Store, has an awesome package that you can do. I think it's like $100 or like $112 or something like that, and that includes rentals. Maybe not. Maybe it's like an extra like $30 or something to get rentals from them. And then it's a round trip bus ride up to either Hunter Mountain or Windham Mountain. I've been to Hunter and I really liked it. In the Catskills, it's a round trip bus trip, light breakfast, a movie on the bus, and your lift ticket, which is amazing because a lift ticket will usually run you like at least $100, if not more, depending on what day of the week it is, what time, if you're doing a half day or a full day. So it's a great deal. Paragon Sports, I do it at least once a year, if not more, and it's really, really awesome. So you have got your gear, you have got your ticket, you're up on the mountain. The next thing, if you're just like right off the bat, you're going to want to do is you're going to find the bunny hill. I strongly suggest, especially if it's your first time ever on a board, going down the bunny hill, no matter how embarrassing you might think it is, you are going to learn so much on that first run, and mostly it's what your butt is going to feel like on the ground all day. But I strongly, strongly, strongly suggest going on the bunny hill. And the first thing that you have to do when you go on the bunny hill is you have to learn how to get off of the ski lift. And what a lot of people do is when they're this really bugs me. When you're skating over on your board to the lift, there's two ways that people tend to find themselves skating over. And when I say skating, it means that you have one leg strapped into your board and you're kind of pushing yourself on a flat surface on the snow over to the lift or over to wherever it is that you're trying to get to. And a lot of people will do this thing. You always want to keep your front foot strapped in and you push with the back foot, kind of like if you think like on a skateboard, you push with your back foot. Some people will do this thing where they keep their foot strapped in and then they walk with their leg like on the other side of the board. And I can't really explain it, but it twists your entire leg around, and if you fall, you're going to dislocate your knee or break your leg, and it just terrifies me. So if ever you guys find that you're trying to skate on your board, it's really easy, just as if you were standing in your board, just take your back foot out, just put it on the back side of the board and just push yourself like you're on a skateboard. I promise you it's going to be a lot more comfortable. You're going to get there a lot quicker and a lot less laboriously. So just skate correctly and everything will be fine. You'll be much happier for the beginning of the day. So now you're at the lift and you're going to get on the lift, and I'm going to assume that you're getting on the lift by yourself, because if you're getting on the lift with another person, it's a whole nother ball game. But we'll assume you're getting on the lift by yourself. So you're going to want to get on the lift, and once you skate up to the place that's indicated on the ground where you're going to get on the lift, you're going to stand there, and it's going to be really scary because you're just going to see this seat coming up behind you, and it's going to seem like it's going really fast, and there's no turning back once you get on the seat, so you're going to be really nervous. But it's really simple. You just got to stand there. The people who are there will help it slow down, and you just sit in it like a regular seat, and it'll whisk you off, and then you'll be totally fine. A lot of people just let their boards hang down. I think that it makes my foot fall asleep if it hangs down. So you just kick your board up, just put your foot in your binding and just kind of enjoy the ride. Don't think about what's going to happen when you get to the other end. So ride it up, and when you finally get up to the top of the mountain, you're going to turn so that you're facing the launching point to the side, like sideways as much as you can, sitting down. And every board has what's called a stomp pad that is it's almost like a 3D sticker that's going to be on the inside in between your feet right next to your binding. And what that stomp pad does is it allows you to put your boot down on that sticker without having to put your foot back into the binding for when you get off of a lift. And what that does is it guarantees that if you fall for any reason, you're not strapped into your board, so you're just rolling around like a worm on the ground trying to get out of your binding. Your foot can come out easily, but it also gives you a little bit of stability so that you can steer the board as you're getting off of the lift. So it's really simple. Once your board hits, you just stand up very easily, and you just kind of let the hill do its own thing. You don't have to turn as much. You don't have to push yourself. You just have to slide down the hill. And that's the part where most people get freaked out. If you fall, it's not a big deal. The people will stop the ride. 90% of the time, no one's going to hit you. No one's coming up behind you. The worst thing that you could do is stay on the chair, because if you stay on the chair and it goes around and you start going down on the other side, they're going to have to stop the entire lift. Everyone's going to be mad at you. Everyone's going to think that you look like an idiot. So no matter what, I don't care if you have to jump off that thing and crawl, make sure you get off of the chair. So now you're at the top of the mountain, the top of the bunny hill, and you see everybody kind of working their way out, and the best thing that I could say that you could do is just try it. The first time, to get all the nerves out is you just strap in and just go for a little while and see how you feel on the board. Once you've done that, and after you fall, because you're gonna fall, something that a lot of people, especially on their first time snowboarding, don't realize is that when you're on a snowboard, the instinctual thing to do as a human strapped to a piece of wood going down a mountain is that you want to lean back to avoid the front end of your board catching an edge on the snow and falling forward on your face. That instinctually is what your body will want to do. However, what a lot of people, and especially a lot of people snowboarding on their first times, don't realize is that a board is designed to go faster the farther back you lean. So the first thing that I always tell people when they're snowboarding is that if you want to stop, the best thing that you can do is lean forward, shift your weight forward on the board. The more you lean back, the faster you're going to go, and your board is going to shoot out from under you, and you're going to fall on your tailbone. Which isn't fun. Especially another thing for anybody who might be a little bit more proficient, if you're going to go off into the powder, which is off of the groomed parts of the run, if you're having a problem and you keep getting stuck in the powder off the runs, if you lean back, it's going to help your tip stay up forward more and help you go faster on that powder, and it's really going to keep you up above, riding on top of it instead of trying to shoot your way through it, which is where you're going to get stuck and dig your way out and get really tired. So definitely always be making sure that you're keeping your weight shifted forward. The other thing that a lot of people don't know about snowboarding is that you're basically, if you're doing snowboarding correctly, you're basically doing a squat the entire day. You are sitting in a chair on your board, and all of your directional changes have to do with your hips and your shoulders. A lot of people immediately try to do it with their legs, and it's just not going to work because that's just not how the mechanics work with snowboarding. So you have to keep, as my stepmom would say when she's yelling at us up on the hill, bend your knees. If you're not bending your knees, you're not gonna go anywhere. So you have to get down into your squatting position, and then the last thing that you kind of need to know to get your basic movement down on a board is you have to start practicing what's called going to your toe side and going to your heel side. And what that means is on this bunny slope, you're going to basically be practicing going in an S shape. When you see videos and snowboard movies of these people jumping and carving and doing all this stuff, what they're doing essentially, there's a couple levels to it, but essentially what they're doing is doing a very quick change from back and forth to their toe side of their board and the heel side. What I'm referring to is when you're standing on the board, you should be perpendicular to your board. So if your board is facing as vertical down the slope, you should be facing horizontal, like a skateboard. And the toe side of your board is if you were to kind of like go up on your tiptoes and you were just kind of balancing on the side of the board, that's your toe side. If you kind of like lift your toes up off of the ground and you're just kind of balancing on your heel, that's your heel side. So you're up at the mountain, you've squatted down, your knees are bent. You're going to let the mountain kind of take you down. You're going to start sliding down, and to do a toe turn, you shift your hips and shoulder towards your toe side. So if I'm facing the mountain down with my left hand down the mountain, I'm going to shift over to the left hand side with my knees bent, and I'm going to very carefully lift my heel up off of the mountain. That should take you into a very slow, very wide turn so that eventually you are facing the front of the mountain and you can stop. Then you're going to turn very slowly back towards the bottom of the hill and let your board go down again and do the exact same thing but to the other side. So you're going to very slowly lift your toes and shift yourself over your shoulder to the left-hand side. So first you turned right. I'm sorry. Second, you turn left. You're going to lift your toes very slowly, bend your knees down into a squat, and turn your shoulder and hips over to the left-hand side, which should bring you very slowly onto your heels. And you're facing down the mountain, but you've stopped. So it's kind of hard to explain if you're not on a mountain and I'm not drawing it or showing it to you, but if you just kind of take those steps very, very slowly, you have just done your first step towards carving and towards becoming a proficient snowboarder. Once you've kind of mastered that to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, you eventually start to get a lot quicker with that. You would start to use your legs a little bit more, to bend your knees a little bit less, and you really start curving and kind of feeling like you're in a bowl that just keeps right, left, right, left, right, left. Which is essentially the basic move for snowboarding. And once you've really got the hang of that, man, go for it. Go up to the top of the mountain. You can only get better if you push yourself. If you're getting good at the bunny hill, go up to a green triangle. If you're really kicking ass on that, push yourself, go up to another one. I don't recommend, if you have friends that are a little bit better than you, I don't recommend going into the trees with them until you feel 100% comfortable or until you have the proper gear like a helmet and stuff like that. If you're still training a little bit and learning, mostly because A, you'll get really tired and it's very dangerous, so you won't have as much control. B, you're probably going to either hit a tree or get stuck in powder. They're going to have to hike back up and dig you out, and they're not going to have fun, and they're going to be really mad at you. So just do it at your own pace. Take as much time as you need. Don't get frustrated. And the last thing that I always tell people, and I don't want this to turn you off to it, the first day of snowboarding is the hardest day. You're going to hate it. You're not going to like it. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to be really mad that you're not better than you thought that you are. But I promise you, the best thing that you can do is keep going back, because you will only ever get better than you were on your first day. So if you're absolutely terrible, you'll be a little less terrible the next time that you go. So that's the quick down and dirty basics to being able to snowboard.
Great. Thanks, McKenna. That was
sorry. I know
that was
a lot.
exhaustive. that was going snowboarding sounds like more exhausting than going on a vacation with Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have any questions for?
Yeah, McKenna, I want to ask, did you ever say how to stop?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So when you're doing,
I think that's an important piece of the whole thing.
Yeah. So there's two ways to stop. Two basic ways. So
On your face or on your ass?
Well, yeah. So the first one is the correct way is, remember what I was talking about turning to your toe or turning to your heel. If you turn enough, you will eventually bring your board parallel, or I guess perpendicular to the mountain. Basically, it's kind of like think hockey, right? When somebody is skating, when they're skating forward, they're facing forward, and when they stop, they turn to the side, or
Right.
skiers do the same thing.
Yep.
So with a board, instead, when you're going down, you're not facing down the mountain, you're not facing forward, you're facing to the side, right? So the way to stop on your board is to face front. So you can either be facing front down the mountain or facing up towards the mountain, but your board has to be perpendicular to the slope. So turning on your heel until you're completely on your heel, or turning on your toe till you're completely on your toe, that is the correct way to stop. The other way to stop is by either this varies a little bit, crashing into a tree, crashing into another person, or crashing on your face or butt.
Yeah, I like option number one.
Yeah, exactly. So
What's
there's
the
all different ways, and all are valid.
what's the ex gamers? What's the kid with the red hair? What's his name? Shaun White.
Shaun White.
Yeah, Shaun White. When he stops, he looks really easy.
Well, and you know
Yeah.
what? All he's doing is he's doing a toe slide or he's doing a heel slide. Exactly what I just described to you. He's just making it look really cool, but that's exactly what he's doing. You too can do a toe slide.
So I want to ask one more question, McKenna, then I'll let everybody else go. So you said you lived in California, or you grew up in California. So I'm assuming you've gone surfing.
I have not.
You
I have
suck.
never been surfing, but if you're going to ask me what the difference is, I can tell you
I was
what
gonna say that
kind of the
it seems
difference
like a lot of
is.
similarities in surfing and snowboarding.
So from what I've been told and from what I've kind of seen, and I don't know how accurate this is going to be because it's kind of hard to describe and it's very layman's terms, but when you're snowboarding, and especially when you get better and you're carving more, a lot of your direction and the way that your board is moving is determined by your back foot, by the back end of the board, and that's kind of a lazy answer because it's not really true, but basically that's how it works. With surfing, I've been told it's a 180 the other way. It's a lot of the movement and a lot of what you're doing on the board is controlled by the front of your board and the front weight and the front foot. So I would say that that's probably the most basic difference in terms of the mechanism of the sport, with the exception of like one's on water and one's on snow. But yeah, so that would be my 2 cents in that, having never done it.
Great. Anybody? Johanna, you have a question?
Yes. Is this sport completely closed off to people who are afraid of heights? Because that's what it sounds like.
Okay, not as much as you'd think, and let me tell you why. Well, also it varies on how afraid of heights they are, and what parts they're afraid of. So, like, for example, the lift, I would say for anybody who is afraid of heights, they're not going to be able to do it purely based on the fact that they're not going to want to get on the lift. Because there's no way around that. You know, that's how you have to get up to the top of the mountain. Now, when you're off of the lift and you're at the top of the mountain or at the top of the hill, as we're assuming that you're a beginner snowboarder, actually like looking down the summit and looking down to the lodge or wherever the lift is that you're going to have to catch at the bottom is far less scary than you would think it is. Now, if you're looking down the face of the mountain, yeah, it's going to be pretty intimidating. But actually, like, looking down, once you're grounded and you're on the mountain, it doesn't feel like you're thinking, the 500 yards or the 1,000 yards that you have to go on this board, because you could go 10 feet and just drop down to your butt and nothing's going to happen to you. You know what I mean? So in terms of like the height of the mountain, it shouldn't ever be an issue for someone, because really you can unstrap your board at any time and just walk down the mountain if you want. The only thing that I would advise is if you're afraid of heights, the lift is going to be something that you're going to have to overcome. However, it is so worth it. If you can kind of get past or do whatever you need to do to kind of get past that initial launch. It's the rewards are so worth it once you really start getting on the ground and start using the board and start really getting a hang of it.
Sweet.
So I actually have two questions for you, McKenna. So you said that the first experience of snowboarding is actually the worst, and you also mentioned that it's pretty much a squat, and so one thing is I go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and on leg day I hate the squats the most. So my question to you is, how long does it take for the pain of doing a squat for 8.5 hours? Actually, how long does it take for that pain to go away?
In terms of like when you're doing it, you don't feel it anymore.
Yes.
So if I'm being honest with you, Malik, the pain of that squat, you are not going to feel while you're doing it because you're going to be so concerned with everything else that you have to be doing to get that board going correctly. So you're going to be worrying about bending your knees. You're going to be worrying about if you're, putting too much weight on your toes. You're going to be worrying about if there are other people who don't know what they're doing that are around you. You're going to be worrying about the fact that your hands are freezing. Your mind is going to be focused on so many other things and trying to have fun at the same time that you're not really going to notice the squat. You will notice the squat after you've had a couple of beers and you're back in your hotel in the jacuzzi. That is when you're going to feel those squats the most. The feeling of that really starts to go away. The pain and the aches and the bruises and stuff like that you're going to get the first couple of times that you go, that starts to go away after, I would say, probably the first 3 times that you go, 3 or 4 times, and not because you get used to it, but because you get better. So there are less crashes. There are less you sitting on your butt, times of you sitting on your butt. There are less catching yourself or going too fast or something like that. So it's not necessarily that you get used to the pain, it's that you move past it and you get more experience. It's kind of like, forgive the comparison, but it's kind of like what I've heard about pole dancing. So like when you first start pole dancing, you get burns and you get bruises and you kind of get banged up by the pole. But after you've done it a couple of times, you really start to A, get calluses, and B, really learn how your body weight needs to be moving on the pole so that you don't get those bruises and it looks a lot better and it flows a lot better. It's very much the same with snowboarding, is that you'll learn ways to stop so that you're not just falling on your butt and you're not, coming dangerously close to cracking your head on the ice and stuff like that.
So first off, before I ask my second question, thank you so much for tying something into pole dancing. That's an awesome. You are infinitely amazing just for doing that. And my second question is, either you or somebody else, best wipeout story.
Oh, okay, I got one. So it wasn't me, but my dad, oh God. So my dad and my stepmom, when I say that they're good, they are like those people that you see in the parks. Do you guys ski? Like, do you guys go skiing?
I snowboard, and I used to.
You
ski.
do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Lorenzo, okay, real quick, would you say that like everything that I'm saying is like pretty accurate?
Yeah, I mean, so with my issue was, I think, that as I thought I was getting better, I pushed myself a little too hard, and I guess you realize that, I mean, so snowboarding is pretty easy, right? I mean, it's not that difficult a thing to do. It's just that it's a lot more painful to fall than it is to fall on skis. Because with skis, you have your feet kind of there, you're able to move around. But when you're on a snowboard, it's like your legs are tied together. So when you fall, it's all like all the impact is gonna be on either your knees or on your butt. And so I know as I got a little bit better, like the next year I went back, I was like, okay, I got this down. I was going flying down the hill, like just doing like really hard carving mixed with like just straight bombing the hill. I would do like the really sharp carving where I would just keep like a really narrow path, as opposed to what do you call it when you go across the whole hill? Um, uh,
Like cutting over.
like go, you can like because with snowboarding you can do like these long sort of back and forths, and
Mhm.
there's a name for that in skiing and in snowboarding. It's
Slaloms.
No, it's when you're going across, you're going, as opposed to going straight down, you're going really diagonal. So, what the hell is it called? Anyway, so it's like you're saying, it's a way of controlling your speed because no matter how steep the hill is, once you hit that like perpendicular, it's like you're
You
not really
stop.
going down
Yeah,
anymore.
you can't do any. You physically can't do anything.
Right. And so like if you're starting off, it's smart to just take these really leisurely back and
Mhm.
forth, just kind of work on your turning and get a nice turn. I mean, you can actually you can point your snowboard a little bit uphill even to slow yourself down even more. But when after like a couple of years of going, that third year or whatever, I was just going straight down, like really tight turns, and just biting it like hard over and over and over again. Because you would get it right, and when you get it right, it feels so good, and it feels so easy to do, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is easy. But one little mistake, and you just like splatter yourself all over the ground.
Yeah.
By the time I was like halfway through, I promise you, McKenna, my knees, like I could push my finger like 3 inches into my knee because it was so puffy.
So a little quick fact, and then Malik, I'll return to your question. But just so you know, Lorenzo, if you're going to go up again, and I strongly recommend this for people, and
Knee pads?
it's such an easy fix. Well, you know what I use, because I actually, my right knee is really messed up for like other reasons, so I can't be on my knee for very long, my right knee. And you know what I did? I went to like, well, and I don't know if they have this on the East Coast, but I went to Play It Again Sports, which is like, the thrift store for sports stuff. And I got a pair of like hand-me-down volleyball knee pads, and I
Hmm.
just put those on under my snow pants, and it's as if my snow pants have padding built into them because they stretch. There's no Velcro, like they kind of move with me, and it cost me like $20. It was the best $20 I ever bought. Or ever spent because those volleyball knee pads are a lifesaver for me when I'm snowboarding.
Yeah,
So yeah.
funny story though. Like, so then the next day, I was like, well, I gotta have knee pads. Like somebody else had knee pads, and so I borrowed theirs. And then, and then for the next day, I was just cracking my head. Like I was doing like all back falls, and I like smacked my head against the ground like a few times. And
Gotta
it
get a
was
helmet, man. You're going that fast, you need a helmet.
Yeah,
You're going that
it
fast.
was really icy too. So it was like the
Ugh.
next day was even icier than the first day. And then I think the third day I had the helmet and the knee pads, and by that time my body was like so wasted that I was just like very ginger on my way down.
Yeah.
And now since then I've gone back to like the long God,
Mhm.
what's the name of that? Trans I feel
I
like
have
Johanna would
no
know.
idea what you're
Uh
talking about.
it's when you cut across the whole you cut across a mountain, it says that you do that
Transverse? Traverse.
traverse. Yeah,
Oh.
traversing. So yeah, I've gone back to like kind of the leisurely
Yeah.
sort of
Okay.
traverse the
I'm
whole.
told I'm told that and I'm gonna repeat that. I'm told that that's the choice of boarding style when you're really stoned. When you're really
Oh
stoned
yeah,
and you're on the
definitely.
mountain.
Like it's just much more
Yeah.
leisurely. I would compare it to like maybe a vacation that I would go on as opposed to a vacation Joe would go on.
Um, yeah, definitely. So, Malik, real quick, best wipeout story. So, again, going back to my parents, my dad and my stepmom, when I say they're really good, they're the kind of people who, like, if you go to a snowboarding park, and what I mean by park is there's a section of a run that will have like boxes and rails and jumps. That's called the
Mhm.
the terrain park. Um, they are those people that you hate they're the ones that are dropping down into the half pipe and going up and doing stuff, doing turns, doing 360s. My stepmom loves going off into the powder. She's awesome in the trees, and my dad has actually gotten very, very good at going off of jumps and doing tricks on jumps. He does those things too when they have like the big like movie airbag that you can like go off like the jumps and you just like do crazy stuff and just land on the airbag. My dad does that. Also, my dad is of a good age, so to see my dad doing this is like it's very empowering. Anyway.
Well, yeah, to have a daughter your age, he must be at least like 32.
Yeah, at least. At the very least. I'm not going to tell you how old my stepmom is for helping my dad sound wholesome. Anyway, so they go, and my dad used to also be a professional skier, water skier. So he knows his way around dangerous sports. So he kind of lulled him.
Are you guys, can you guys hear McKenna?
No, I can't.
No, I think we lost her.
Well, lulled himself into
There she goes.
what?
We lost you for a second, McKenna.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now, though?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, so my dad, he lulled himself into a false sense of security and talked himself into like 5 sake bombs or Irish car bombs. I don't remember. But he was like drinking with some of his friends and my stepmom at the bar at the lodge, and then they were like, all right, let's go out for like a couple more towards the end of the
McKenna?
I lost her again.
into the terrain park, and hello?
Yeah, you're dropping in and
Hello?
out. You're dropping in and out. Can you?
That's so weird, because I can hear you guys. It's not dropping out for me.
Yeah, I feel like this happened last week too.
Can you guys hear me now?
It's
That's so
coming in and
weird.
out.
All right, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, I can
Okay.
hear you
Well,
fine.
I'll finish up really quick, and then we'll move on. But what was the last thing you guys heard?
We could just move on. It's fine. I think
Okay.
I promised
Well,
I'd cut you
anyway-
off, and I've done like a
Sorry.
bad job of that.
Sorry. Anyway, my dad went off a jump and he overdid it and he fell right on his back and he was bruised from about halfway up his back down to his knees for
Ugh.
about God, what, a month? So he now has a rule that he does not, if he drinks, if he does 5 sake bombs, he doesn't go back out onto the mountain.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, guys. Well, it's certainly interesting hearing everybody's areas of expertise. I think I'll give you guys one quick little how-to. And I think Joe's called me out on this a few times. I like taking longer exposure shots of especially trains. I enjoy taking shots of the subway trains. And the idea being that you go down there and you create these photos that have these long streaking rails of light going through them. Are you guys familiar with what I'm talking about?
No, well, I don't. Not me.
Okay, well the idea, I don't know if you've ever seen maybe like a cityscape where they use such a long exposure, so they open up the shutter and they allow enough time to pass by where the cars turn into streaks of light. They do it sometimes in movies. So Oh, I think in House of Cards. You ever watch House of Cards?
Yeah, yeah, I have seen House of Cards.
Okay, so House of Cards, in the intro to that, they do it where it just kind of makes the city look like it makes the streets look like blood vessels because all the you see these just streaks of light going through the city at like really fast paces. You can do that either by with video. You can just speed up the film so that it just everything's going so fast that it streaks, or you can slow things down so much that that basically one car you're basically you have your shutter open, so you're capturing the image on your film for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and so you're seeing that car be go from point A to going to point B, and all of that is recorded on that one shot. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Yeah, it does.
Okay, and um, so one of the things I like to do is I don't really travel around too much with the tripod. My tripod is pretty heavy, and so I don't always get a chance to do that. But for these kinds of shots where you're gonna have your shutter open for a long time, you need to be able to keep your camera still. There's different ways to do that. One way that's a little bit risky is you put your camera on a bag or something that will just kind of keep it in place and not move. Um, you can try also putting it flush against something. So what I like to do is I'll go down into the subway system. There's a lot of great. We're here in New York City, and there's just a lot of great subways that you can just go down into, not into the actual tracks, but you can go to the edge. So we all know the subway in this group, I assume. You go down to the platform, and then you can just walk to the edge where there's usually like a little sign that says you can't go past this point. So you go right up to that point, and you can put your camera there. And what you want to do is, there's different ways to do it. You can take a wide angle shot, and you're pointing it basically into the darkness of the tunnel. And I personally use a Nikon D3300. Um, Most cameras by standard they allow you to, and I'm talking about an SLR, a digital SLR camera. Most cameras allow you to keep your shutter open for at least 30 seconds. This one does 30 seconds. There's other ways to do it for longer, but 30 seconds is a good amount of time. And what that does is it does a few things. Keeping your shutter open for so long allows that much light to come in. So like obviously if you were in the daytime or if you were like around a significant source of light, your photograph would just be white. It would just be blown out with a lot of light. But if you're in the subway, it's obviously a lot darker. So what that allows you to do is use that longer shutter speed. And by using, I mean that slower shutter speed, I guess is what it is, because it's 30 seconds. So basically you hit click and then the shutter opens and then it's like 30 seconds that it's just allowing light to come in. What that allows you to do is use a higher f-stop. Joe, I always get these confused. Is higher when the numbers go up?
Yes. So like what's your f-stop, like 11 to 22 or
Yeah, well mine goes down to like
to like
three, yeah,
to
like 4
three and
point.
a half?
Right, and it goes all the way up to like it depends on where my settings are at, but usually I'll go up to like around 22. Uh, what that allows you to do is it gives you a really wide depth of field, so it gives you kind of this hyper focused look, and you usually can't get away with that during in a regular picture with limited light because it's just going to come out too dark. Because what that higher f-stop does is it closes your aperture, and I guess we don't really need to get into all of that. But the point being that the smaller your aperture, the greater your depth of field is going to be. And so by depth of field, that means that more things are going to be in focus in your picture. So like with those little point and snap picture cameras, the infinity type of focus, they have like a really wide, I don't know if people ever use those anymore, the disposable cameras. They have a really wide depth of focus. And I like that look. it's kind of interesting when like the things in the foreground and the things in the background are all just like hyper focused. Um, and then the other thing that that long exposure time allows you to do is use a really slow speed film speed. So even digital cameras, they use a film speed setting, which basically the higher that number is, the less light your picture needs. So if you're like at a football stadium or in a basketball game and you want to capture movement and you don't want it to be all blurry, but you don't have a whole lot of light, you're going to want like a higher film speed. If you're doing like a scenic shot, you can go with a lower film speed and just let the light come in, and you don't have to worry about like trying to capture like quick movement. The reason why you want to go with the lowest film speed as possible is because for whatever your environment is because the lower your film speed, the less grain you're going to have, and I think typically you're going to have more vibrancy in your shots. And so by having that longer exposure time, that 30-second exposure time, not only can you bring your f-stop up to get a more focused picture, but you can also drop your film speed all the way down. My lowest setting is 100. I think they go down to like other cameras go down to like 25, but mine's the lowest is 100. And so what that does is it gives you a crystal clear picture without any kind of grain in it. And then obviously the last benefit of the 30 seconds is that with that 30 seconds, you're going to basically be able to capture a train coming and passing by. So you're going to get basically the whole journey of the train is going to be captured on that single shot. And what that's going to do is just give you this crazy streak of light that's going to go cutting through your picture, through the dark tunnel. Yeah, and so that's my advice. I would open it up to do the full 30. You can play around with your aperture setting. One of the things about another thing about the aperture setting is that when you have it really high at like 22, you're going to get a lot of flaring of your light. So your light sources, like if there's a light bulb in the picture, that light bulb is going to look like a star. It's going to have like 8 different like pointed star that's going to come out. So you can drop down your f-stop if you want to like kind of diffuse that light. Otherwise, you're going to have this really sharp star pointed at you because, like I said, everything becomes hyper-focused, including the light that's coming at your camera from different sources. And lots of the train station, the Times Square's train station is great because it's so huge and there's lots of different places to go down there as a place to try out. So that whole area is a lot of fun. So if you're a tourist, you might want to try it, and if you're in the city, that's a great way to like hang out in Times Square without actually having to hang out in Times Square. So there you go. That's my little tutorial on how to do some fun subway photography. Any questions?
I just want to endorse the fact that Lorenzo's subway photography is awesome, really fucking awesome. I don't know if you have a public Instagram, but you should. Anyway, I have my personal author website, and a couple of Lorenzo's subway photos were up as candidates for the background because they're really fucking cool.
As candidates? Anyway, so yeah. In fact, if you want to check them out, you can go to renzo.renzo at Instagram, and there's a few of them in there as an addition to other pictures. I thought you would have known that, Johanna, since I've told you before. But
I was letting you take the shine. I don't really remember it, but it's on my feed. It's that kind of thing.
Renzo.renzo. Yeah. Any other questions?
And I also want to just add on to Johanna's statement as someone that you've laid your camera on my foot rather, to take a picture of a train. I just wanted to let everybody know they're awesome photos and they come out. Lorenzo does a great job and they come out really nice and crisp and lots of streaking lights.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, Joe. Is that you can be really creative on how you get your own tripod. I was just told by somebody yesterday. I was talking to another photographer, and he was telling me that they have sort of like a bean bag tripod that you can use. So it's not really a tripod; it's a bag that you can screw into your camera, into the bottom of your camera, and it basically is like it has a flat bottom, and then it's got like sort of what do they put in a beanbag? Is there beans in a beanbag?
Yeah,
Um,
beans.
yeah, so it's got that sort of material in it, so you can just kind of it's malleable, and so you can just kind of position your camera in the angle that you want, and not and it fits in your pocket. So that's something that I definitely would probably want to try out in the future. As not that I don't like your foot, Joe. Your foot's great.
I know, and I'm not always going to be there to let you use my
Right.
foot, so you need the bean bag.
Great. Yeah, that's true. Any other questions?
So I'm curious. Do you prefer like what's your preference as far as day night shots, highlight low light? As far as like what you're looking for when you're shooting. Like what's your preference in terms of the time of day or anything along those lines?
Sure. Yeah, I know. I've had this discussion with Johanna before. Uh, the best time of the day to shoot is when the sun is going down or when the sun's coming up. They call that the golden hour. That's basically like any of like those dramatic moments in movies. They usually, the love scene. I mean, the romantic when the couple falls in love, or when they see each other for the first time, or when any of those poignant moments. They're often done at that time of the day. It saturates your picture with like this really mm, warm light. So basically, during the day, the sky in general, it's very blue. It seems obvious, but I mean the light is blue, so it tends to it can easily wash out your picture, um, because it's just a lot of blue light. But in the morning and in the evening time, uh, the light changes in aspect, so it becomes just more warm, more orange, more red. Brings out a lot of highlights in skin tone. Yeah, as opposed to like the blue light where it tends not to be as flattering on your skin. The light during the morning and in the evening time tends to be a lot. It gives skin a glow, so it's really good for taking pictures of people as well as like nature and stuff. So I do like it when there's just nobody around. I guess my answer to your question is that I enjoy sort of that feeling of like being on another planet. So when like you go to like right after a fresh snow and you go outside and it's all just white, or when you're like out in a place like at the beach at nighttime and it looks like another planet. So
Hmm.
those moments happen like every day, and it's just a matter of like paying attention, and you can find those moments, I think, every day where it's just like, whoa, am I even on the earth? So those kinds of moments, I guess, are what I look for to answer your question.
Cool.
Yeah. Great. McKenna, you have any questions?
Yeah, Lorenzo, you were mentioning the kind of stuff that you like to take pictures of. Is there anything that you would like to do, like a long exposure shot of, that you haven't gotten an opportunity to yet, or that like it might not like actually be feasible, but you think it would be really cool, like, to like, oh yeah, I would love to get like a shot of like the universe, like, I don't know, it's a bad example, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely would like a shot of the universe. Um, yeah, I mean, there's like I am still trying to get better at doing at doing night photography of the sky. So that's something that I'm really interested in. It's tricky to it's hard to get great pictures of the night sky because it often does require that longer exposure, but the the sky's moving. So if you have your exposure open for like 30 seconds, then the stars are going to actually start to streak because they are moving through the sky. So if you had your shutter open for like an hour, you would get this sort of arcing light going through the sky. So yeah, that's the one thing that I'm trying to get better at is taking pictures of the sky. That's something that I'm still working on. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, yes, I would like to take more pictures of the galaxy and the universe.
The universe.
Yeah, definitely. And also speaking to that sort of alien universe, the I really would like to get more into macro photography. So I guess what I'm talking about is really long lenses, like those telephoto lenses, where it's like 300 millimeter and beyond. I don't have one of those lenses. I would like to get one specifically for like pointing it up at the sky and trying to get some really great shots of like the moon and other heavenly bodies, and then also a macro lens, which is allows you to basically focus on things that are closer to like there's a you have a limit even with your own eyeballs, like how close something can be before you lose focus of it. Like if you stick your finger right in front of your face, you won't be able to focus on it, and you can see like as you pull it away, it's maybe like 6 inches away before you can actually focus on it. A macro lens will allow you to focus on things that are like 3 inches away, so that lets you get like really close up to like a bug and see like a bug's face. Yeah, I would like to do more of that too. So really big things and really small things. I'm interested in getting more into those. Yeah,
Cool.
definitely. Okay, well, I think we're going to move on to the next section of our show. And do we're going to do a little.
Something's going on with your sound.
Can you hear me okay?
Speak again?
So I'm going to start talking.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay, great. I'm trying to think, like, after I cut McKenna's snowboarding thing, how much time we're gonna have.
Well, we've gone about 90 minutes, or actually more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of it is McKenna, so I think we could just like, shave off like 30,
Hey,
45
you
minutes.
saved the best for last, man. That was your own damn fault. Just saying.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of putting it.
Hey.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna skip the other thing I had planned, and we're gonna just we're gonna dive into our little game show. Okay, so guys, we're gonna have a little sort of a battle of the knowledge. Okay, so I'm gonna pitch you guys against each other, and I want you to explain to me. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to give me the answer. Okay? And we're gonna do like pairs. So I think first up, we're gonna do Joe versus Malik. And what I want you to do is give me an answer to the question that I'm going to ask you. And I'm not gonna entertain the idea that you guys do not know the answer to the question. What I want you to do is just provide me the very best answer that you can. And I'll give you a hint. When I say best answer, I mean funniest or most ridiculous. Or, yeah, basically all around most entertaining. Okay, guys? Are you ready? We're going to jump right in.
Sure.
Let's light this candle.
All right. So I'm going to flip to go see who goes first. And Joe, you're going to go first.
Oh,
so
that's great.
My question that I have for you is, why is Baja California in Mexico?
What? Why is Baja California? What?
My question is, why is Baja California in Mexico?
Oh, that's easy because California was Mexico, right? I mean, so who cares, really, right? You come up, you're gonna break. They're gonna jump the fence anyway, right? So what's the big deal about keeping Baja in Mexico? What's the big deal? You leave it there. You don't leave it there. People are gonna get there no matter what. I mean, haven't you ever seen the show with Carlos Mencia, Mind of Mencia, where the sign with the people like uh I'm doing hand gestures here like you guys can see it. Uh, where where there's like a guy pulling his family like that. I mean, who cares? I mean,
What the hell are you talking about?
you've never seen this. Have you ever watched Mind of Mencia before?
No, I try not to watch that show.
Okay.
It's
Anyway,
I find it offensive, not because of anything it says against Mexicans, but because Carlos Mencia is not a Mexican, and he is basically just giving us all a bad name because he's not funny. But go ahead.
anyway, he has a segment where he had a segment where uh, people are line jumping, right? And the signs are like traffic signs of a guy pulling his family. So for drivers to beware of like people border crossing, stuff
Right.
like that.
Okay.
So you have to see it. It's pretty funny, but
Okay,
you
I'll take
might
your
get
word for it.
offended. But anyway, um, so yeah, how much longer do you need me to go? I mean, it's
No, that's good. Just whenever
it's
you
good.
feel like you've
That,
satisfied
that,
the
I'm
question.
good. I'm good.
All right. Before I'm gonna withhold judgment, and then I'm gonna ask Malik. I'm gonna ask Malik the same question. Malik, why is Baja California in Mexico?
So Baja California is in Mexico, so as not to confuse Mexicans who believe that they've actually made it across the border. So it's for the Mexicans that really believe that they made it across the border, so they can tell people that they're from California, but they're actually not. I think that probably originated where someone from Mexico was trying to go to California and didn't quite make it. Kind of in a similar way of Christopher Columbus actually looking for a route to India and like landing on what he then called the New India or the West Indies because he sailed west. Well, it was probably just like that. Some Mexican guy thought he was in California, probably got drunk, fell asleep, woke up, and was like, "Holy shit, this is California." When in actuality, what probably happened is somebody just strapped him to a donkey or a goat, trailed him about 50 yards down the road, dropped him off in some blank area, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just call this Baja." So that's probably where the Baja California came from, and people just stuck with it because they believed him and he was a prophet and he was the new he was the new prophet of their town. So that's probably where it all came from.
Okay, so Malik, it sounded like you maybe were guessing, but you know, Providence or fate or just plain luck would have you were absolutely right. So that point goes to Malik. Okay, next up it's Johanna and McKenna. Um, let me see here. Okay, so the question is, why do Lennon and John Lennon have the same name? And I'm gonna flip a coin to see who goes first. And Johanna, you're going first, so you're up. Why do Lennon and John Lennon have the same name?
They have the same name because Lennon is actually one of John Lennon's very, not distant relatives, it's almost a direct lineage. Lennon's sister, uh, Yula, uh, Leninskaya, or whatever, um, like fled once the Bolshevik Revolution got into play because she was kind of not up for that shit, and she moved to England as an exile, and she changed her name, and she changed her last name to Lennon. She gave birth to the son. He practically broke her heart because he's like, "Mommy, I want to be a communist." And so finally, his uncle one day sat him down when he was about 15 years old and said, "Listen, real talk, your actual uncle was Lenin, the under a glass casket Lenin." And John Lennon said, "Well, fuck. Well, there's no other choice for me but become, the most famous rock star in the world." So he created the Beatles, and he wrote lots of songs about, communism and socialism And then in the 1980s, he finally felt like he was able to honor his great uncle or whatever, very anonymously still, because no one was supposed to know about his origins. So he wrote Working Class Hero, and it's actually about Lenin. When you play the chorus backwards, it says, "Hello, Lenin, how are you? Hello, Lenin, how are you? This is your nephew, how are you?"
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I know. It's all
I'm
in
gonna
there.
I'm gonna fact check that one. But McKenna, in the meantime, uh, I want you to go ahead and dive in and answer that same question. Why is it that Lennon and John Lennon have the same name?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I thought you guys already knew this because it was all over the news. I don't know. Maybe it was just recently, and maybe I was the most connected. But Lennon actually is like has it has been confirmed is the one who shot John Lennon and is trying to like be. It was like one of those crazy things where like someone kills somebody and like they try to take their personality and like their lives over. So that's actually what happened.
Oh, come on.
And was like
Just kidding, good.
going over.
Yo,
Sorry.
McKenna, I'm sorry. You're breaking up a little bit. Try that again. So what I got was that Lennon killed Lennon and tried to take over his life. Keep going.
Yeah, so Lennon actually shot John Lennon, and it was like one of those things where like wanted to take over his life and like have his career and like try to make it off like nothing had changed, and got away with it for a little while until Yoko Ono was like, no, this is not the man that I was in love with. This is not my Beatle, and the whole thing like got blown up, and like it was gonna be this giant like media thing, but it like got hushed over by the government, and now because of like all of those documents that got released by when Sony got hacked or whatever the hell got hacked, it was released that all of this had happened, and like so that's like the truth is that Lennon was shot John Lennon was obsessed with him and was trying to take over his life. I thought you guys knew about that.
Wow. So like I just fact checked, and it turns out that Johanna was completely wrong. And although it defies like time and space, McKenna was right. It's crazy. I don't even know how that worked. Um, so yeah, that is absolutely nuts. Okay, and so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask Joe and Johanna another question. Because I want to give you guys a fair shake. And let's see, well, actually, let me do it this way. I'm going to bring you back up again, McKenna, and I'm going to pitch you against Joe,
Okay.
but this time Joe gets to go second. So the question is, why do people think Jerry Seinfeld is funny?
He's not. That's the answer. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Am
we
I on
heard
here?
you, but
Okay,
why do
why
people
do
think
people
he's
think
funny?
Gerald Jerry Seinfeld is funny?
Why do people think Jerry Seinfeld is funny?
I don't really understand the question. Like, as in he's not funny?
Why is it that people think Jerry Seinfeld is funny?
Because Jerry Seinfeld is a wizard. And Jerry Seinfeld has actually cast a spell over the greater United States area. It didn't reach as far as England. So people in England, like people like in Europe, don't think that Jerry Seinfeld's funny. Not a lot of people know that, but it's true. But Jerry Seinfeld, like, and actually most of the cast of Seinfeld, not all of them, not Kramer, but the other ones, they were all like came together and they did this like sacrificial like thing where they sacrificed the real Courtney Cox. The one that was on Friends was fake, and they killed her and like offered her up to Cthulhu, the god, like the god monster, so that they could like become these famous people and be funny and have everybody like worship them and think that they were this like awesome thing. But to be honest, he's a wizard. He has entranced all of us with the like demonic power of Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Cthulhu. Cthulhu. Right.
Cthulhu.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Okay. Okay. Joe, do you have a different take on why Jerry Seinfeld is funny?
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with this fantasy that McKenna has come up with magic and spells. It's a rather just simple answer. Jerry Seinfeld is Jewish, and we know that Jewish people are very funny. And not only do they are not only funny, they have a lot of money. Funny money, don't you see? It goes together. Funny and money.
They rhyme.
Anyway, that's right. It rhymes and it goes together.
Uh-huh.
And when you talk like this, people are gonna like you. See, you talk like that, people are gonna like you. You just have to put the inflection. Yeah, Kramer, what are you doing? People are gonna love you when you start talking like that, and you just look. You love Superman. You got Superman statues all over the place. Everybody loves Superman, so he says subliminal messaging with the Superman in the background. You see the Superman, you think justice and for all and the American dream, and he's got it right back there. It's subliminal messaging. Plus, at which he speaks in the frequency, "Ah, can't you see me? I use my American Express card." Subliminal messaging is getting you, and that's why everybody loves Jerry Seinfeld.
Joe, that is a great answer. And as much as I love anti-Semitism as much as the next guy,
It wasn't anti-Semitism.
right. I got to give that one to McKenna though.
Yeah, I think there was no way I was gonna win this game. That's what I think. That's what I think, because my answer was based in fact and a better answer.
Okay. Well, that too is wrong. So you're 0 for 3. But so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pit Johanna against Malik, and this time Johanna gets to go first, right?
Didn't I go first last time?
Yeah, Johanna went first last time. Yep.
But Malik gets to go first this time. That's right.
Yep.
So then the question is, who is going to be the next president and why? Malik, go.
Who is going to be the next president and why? Well, look, I think it's pretty damn clear that nobody that is currently running for president is actually worthy of being the president. So, we talk about Hillary and we talk about all the other people that are in line for it. It's not going to happen. So the person that's actually going to be the next president of the United States, and they haven't even set to run yet. It's actually going to be Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy is going to run for the president of the United States, and he's going to actually win the presidency. And the reason why is because Puff Daddy does everything. He does everything right. He dances, he sings, he raps, he makes money off of other people, and he actually is able to convince you that he's good at life. I mean, the guy is a multi-millionaire, probably billionaire, and he's so amazingly untalented at everything that he does, but he's still really good, and he's still really successful. See, what we need as a president is we need someone that's actually able to convince the rest of the world that we know what the fuck we're talking about. Well, Puffy actually has convinced the rest of the world that he knows what the fuck he's talking about, even though he absolutely has no clue, and he's really playing this shit by ear. So Puff Daddy will be the president of the United States. He will run independently, and he will take the vote from everybody else. Plus, he's probably most likely, and if we get to the point where the primaries are getting ready to happen and he is not getting ready to win, what's he going to do? He's going to hire someone to murder all of the other candidates. So there'll be no other candidates, and there'll be just Puffy. And so at the end of the day, Puffy will be dancing his way into our hearts, and he will become the new president of the United States. Done deal.
Wow. Okay. Do you have any different thoughts, Johanna?
Wow, that was pretty good. I am, what's the word for tapping out? Conceding. I am conceding to that, sir. I'm conceding. That's
You're
really.
conceding? You're just gonna give up?
His just was too good. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, well, fuck, how the fuck am I going to top that?
So you're not even going to try.
No.
Okay.
Come on, you could say Harrison Ford's going to be the next president for
Well,
real.
see, the way that I envision it is, I don't know if you guys have seen the episode of The Simpsons about Kang and Kodos, and they run for president. One of them runs as Bill Clinton, and the other one runs as George Bush. I don't remember what the fuck, it was the 90s. And they both, like, each one was the alien. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was no difference between the two candidates. And they got up and they actually revealed themselves. And, someone was like, well, we'll just vote for a third-party candidate. And Kang says, go ahead, throw your vote away. And I feel like that's how it's felt like it's gone many, many times since that episode. So what I envision is just, maybe it'll happen for real this time. And it'll be Hillary Clinton, and it'll be rando Republican who somehow, volunteers as tribute and is able to kill the other dumbasses in that group. They're not all dumb as hell, but come on, the majority of them, it's like they're coming out of the woodwork, and they don't even have any political experience. And that's what's going to happen. That I think is very much what is going to happen. And then we will have our alien overlords, and someone will say, don't blame me, I voted for Kodos.
Okay. Well, since let's see, Malik. First of all, I took my time machine into the future, and it turns out that you are 100% wrong. But since Johanna conceded,
Hey!
I'm jumping in. Daenerys Targaryen's going to be the next president.
You guys
Coming
are
with the
all
dragons
wrong.
and the Unsullied, and she's going to be our president.
You are all wrong. Johanna, I was trying to text you so that I could give you the answer. Katy Perry is going to be chosen as our next
she
president.
McKenna, you won.
yeah, that was actually the correct
Katy
answer.
Perry was the correct answer there, everyone. Hello.
No, obviously, but that one we're gonna have to give it to Malik. So what that means then is that it is Malik versus McKenna, and I think I'm actually gonna have to flip a coin this time. Hold on.
Fixed.
Okay, so I got my coin. All right, so let's see.
First on this one.
Malik has to be heads. He got a shiny head.
Okay, that sounds fair. The question is, why are some equations differential? And I am flipping the coin. And
I know the real answer to that.
And it is tails. So McKenna, why are some equations differential?
So for this answer, we got to take it back. We got to take it all the way back to the
Oh no. Okay, McKenna, you dropped out. Come on.
Oh, we got to take it. Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're dropping out a little bit.
Your microphone's in a time machine.
Back
Can you
to
hear
the
me?
time when they didn't have microphones.
Okay, so we're taking this one all the way back to the father of math. And, I mean, you guys all know who I'm talking about, obviously. It's Bill Nye the science guy. And in the early 90s, Bill Nye was approached by Disney to start doing this science and math show to try to make these numbers and these pluses and minuses mean something to the youth, because they knew that the youth was going to be responsible for the future of the world as we knew it. And he accepted because he didn't really have a choice, because Disney, is the devil, and made him. And so they locked him in this room, in this metal panic room, basically, and they said, don't come out. You're not allowed out until this all makes sense, until these numbers and these pluses and minuses and division signs make sense, and you have to teach them to children. Like, you're fucked if you don't. So he sat in there for like 6 days. It took 6 days, and he came out, with this simple like word phrase that he had come up with, and he'd like meditated, he had gone within himself, and he had worked this out, and he came out simply and said to the animator, the Imagineers, equations, they didn't know what that meant yet, but he explained it. He goes, equations need to be differential, but only some of them. And he said this, and it all of a sudden, it was like everything just like came together. Like the internet was created. Mark Zuckerberg like understood Facebook all of a sudden. He was like 10, but it was born, and bridges were built, and engineers finally knew what the hell they were doing, and people knew what engineers did, and math teachers in school weren't just like, they were serious now all of a sudden, and it all was just because Bill Nye the Science Guy doing like an introspective, hot sit
meditation.
bring order to the world. There you go.
Okay.
So it's actually all because of Bill Nye the Science Guy and Disney.
Wow, you blew my mind.
There you go. I have that effect on people when I tell that story.
Malik, yeah, and I assume you tell that story all the time because it's amazing.
All the time.
Malik, do you
There was a special on Netflix.
Do you agree or disagree with McKenna? And if you disagree, please explain.
So I respectfully disagree with McKenna, and this is because I recently saw a documentary with reference to this. So this is actually kind of something in my wheelhouse, just to kind of point that out. So I may be a bit of a quote-unquote expert with regards to this, if you didn't know. So actually, we're going to take it a little further back. We're going to go back into the days of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton, as you guys always have all remembered, he's the inventor of calculus. The apple falling on the head. He invented gravity, so on and so forth. Or he invented the theory of gravity, or whatever, right? So, but what a lot of things that people don't know about Isaac Newton is he was a big ass freak, and I mean a big, S&M crazy freak, nasty dude, and he used to get involved in a lot of crazy shit. So what happened was, so the story goes, and this story has actually been told down from generation to generation. It's played telephone a lot of the times, but the story basically goes that Isaac Newton had met Shelley on a Wednesday, and he met Jennifer on a Friday, and he met Lisa on a Sunday, and on Monday he was supposed to have a date. And he couldn't understand how he could hang out with Shelley, Lisa, and Jennifer all in one date and get them all within that same 24-hour period. So being a mathematician as he was, he put together equations. And he tried to put together as many possible different scenarios that he possibly could to try to put this together in a way where he could not only have all three of these dates, but he could score with all of these women, and he could make them all happy. And he didn't have to worry about, and back then, way back when, we didn't have ginseng and all these other things to kind of keep it up, you know what I mean? So he was obviously going to run into problems where he was going to run out of his soldiers. His soldiers were going to die down on him. So basically, he had to come up with an equation to figure out like what was the perfect time frame in between these dates and these scoring for him to actually be able to perform to the best of his abilities, because clearly Newton has a reputation. So he does all of this, and he puts together all of these different equations. He tries his best, and unfortunately, he couldn't do it. And so when he finally figured it out was just like differential equations, you also can't please three women at the same time. So just don't get into multiple relationships. So he actually also not only did he introduce differential equations, which completely changed the scope of math, he actually also helped introduce not to be in polygamous relationships. He actually helped to destroy the theory that polygamous relationships were good relationships to be in, and that you could actually please multiple women, and that you should probably stick with one or maybe even two. But three and more is just a really big problem. So Isaac Newton, my hat's off to you. You figured it all out. Differential equations absolutely exist, just like pleasing three women at the same time.
Wow,
Glorified dick joke. You went with a glorified dick joke.
It's not a dick joke. It's true.
I am truly I know the one rule of the What Do You Know show was to say you can't say I don't know, but man, I do not know who to go with on this one because I love Bill Nye and I love Gravity and I agree that Disney is like a evil empire, and I but I don't agree about Newton's final conclusion. So I think I got to give it to McKenna. I think
Woo!
McKenna won this one just by the skin of her teeth, man. I tell you what, by the skin of her teeth. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and I think we can fit it in. I think we might have some time. So I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna go first, okay? And I'm gonna give just to set the sort of the tone that I'm going for here. So what we're gonna talk about is just something that you're expert at, like a place or like a thing. And what I'm gonna do is, since I was just there today, I'm gonna do Costco. So my quick little breakdown is how to go to Costco, or exactly. So okay, so specifically, very specifically, the Costco in Brooklyn, in Sunset Park. Okay, so if you live in Sunset Park, then you can walk to Costco, which is fine. You can walk to Costco. I suggest going down Second Avenue to get to Costco because you see a lot of old buildings. They have one of those halal butchers, and I happened to pass by a chicken on the street, just kind of walking around, but it was the most jacked up chicken. If you guys want to check out the chicken, go to Renzo.Renzo at Instagram, and I'm gonna post a picture of this fucked up chicken. Yeah, and so you go to Costco. It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be busy. There's times when you can go where it's not busy, but you're gonna go to Costco. It's gonna be busy. So you go to Costco. You need to show the. Don't forget your card. Otherwise, you got to go to customer services and you got to get a pass, and it's this whole thing. So make sure that you bring your card. You go in. You want to make sure you grab a cart before you enter the premise because it's going to be hard to find one once you go in. You go in. You grab your cart. You enter the premise. I suggest having a list. Unless you're like advanced pro like I am, I suggest you carry a list. If you've been to Costco in the last 2 or 3 years, you don't need to stop by the first floor where they have all the shampoo and stuff, because likely or not, you have like a 5-year supply of shampoo from the first time you went to Costco. So you're usually going to be good on that stuff. I would also stay away from the electronics section where they have the 30-inch plasma screens. Stay clear of that. You don't need to be giving yourself any undue attention. You're there for food, okay? This is Costco. You're there for food. You just make a beeline directly towards the back of the Costco. You want to go towards the back and then take a left, and you're going to end up at the escalators. You go up the escalators, and then you start making your rounds just from where the escalators start off. Usually around there, they have like the juices and stuff. That's where you want to pick up your nuts. You want to pick up some sort of cracker item. They got the big chips there if that's your thing. You don't really want to spend too much time in that row of area there. You're gonna go straight towards the bakery where they have the Einstein bagels. I would suggest getting 4 packs, so that's 24 Einstein bagels. If you like English muffins, there's also some of those there too. But no, get the bagels, everything bagels, of course. Pile that in. Stay away from the Stay away from the fruit. They have fruit there, but you don't need that shit. You don't need to get fruit at Costco. You keep going. At the next spot you're going to see, there's going to be cheeses. All kinds of cheeses, all kinds of sausages. I would go, just whatever you want. Just knock yourself out with the cheeses. Get a provolone, get a brie. Try not to get carried away because you're going to need to get more cheese later because obviously it's cheese. If you're there on the weekend, pick up some snacks for fortification. Right around there, they're handing out cheese, free cheese. Sometimes they're handing out sausage. Back before you went into the bread section, they probably had somebody with like juice, like a juice treat. You need your fix, and so you can keep this journey going. Because right now you're having to dodge part of the fun of going to Costco is dodging through traffic, trying not to get stuck in jams, swerving in and out. It starts off easy when your cart is light, but as you go on, it gets harder and harder because now you have to do these big swerves. It's kind of like the difference of going from like a little Civic to like a Cadillac. As far as handling your cart goes, but then you want to go right into the butcher section. In the butcher section, you want to pick up your chicken. So you want to get the packs of thighs, the chicken thighs. They also have breasts there. I don't like to fuck around with breasts. I like the dark meat. You know what I'm talking about, Malik. And next to that, there's also the hamburger meat. So you can get like a big 24 patty thing of hamburger meat, which is great for the kids if your kids know how to work a frying pan. It's really easy for them to fry up their burgers, and don't worry, they're going to have plenty of cheese. By the end of your trip, you're going to have plenty of cheese that they can add to it. And if you haven't tried everything bagel burger, I say you give it a shot. So then, yeah, you grab your beef and you grab your chicken, and then you're gonna continue onward and forward. If you're ever gonna buy hot pockets, Costco is the place to buy them. That's the only time it's ever gonna be semi worth the trouble, money, whatever. Because you can buy a big ass box of hot pockets for like a reasonable rate, and there's like 24 in there, which should last your kid like a week or two. You want to keep going. In those aisles, you're also going to have your meatballs. You want to get your beef meatballs. Those will last you forever. They're very. You can use them for sandwiches. You can use them for spaghetti. You can use them. You can just eat them for snacks. So the meatballs are great to have. As you push through that area, you're also going to come across the dairy section, which means you're going to get more cheese. You got to get your American slices, and you got to get your bags of taco cheese and your bags of either cheddar or mozzarella, or fuck it, get both. I don't care. Around that same area, you're going to pick up your big hunk of bacon, so you can get like their brand bacon, and it comes like in this big 4-pack. And that's also a great opportunity to pick up your hot dogs. You want to get the what do they call the ballpark? The ones that God has blessed and passed down to us. Those are delicious. They're great for, you can use them for breakfast. You can obviously make hot dogs with them, but they're also like great to mix with eggs. They're way better than regular hot dogs. Yeah, ballpark, definitely get them there. That's also where you want to get your wings. You can get a big ass bag of wings. Don't get the wings from the boxes. Get just a big ass bag of wings that they all probably came from fucked up chickens like the one you passed by on your way there. And yeah, it's like a 20-pound bag of wings that you can use for when the games come in. You can use it when the friends are coming. You can just use it when you're hungry, you need a snack. You get that. Since you got all those bagels, you're going to need cream cheese. So stop by and get a big old ass tub of cream cheese. I mean, hell, you could even get a goat if you wanted to. They have at that, around that area, they got like goats. You can just grab a whole big old like slab of beef and throw it on your cart if that's your thing. Not my thing, but to each their own. Over there too, you want to make sure that you pick up your boxes of cereal. You can get like 2 huge boxes of cereal. Whatever they got, you put it in there. I get my eggs there too. So once you got those basics, you can move on down, and you can talk about getting like a huge old bag of rice that'll last you like about 6 months. Pick up beans if you need them. If you need condiments, man, that's the place to go. You can get like a thing of relish, ketchup, mustard, like all of them. You just get like a big old thing of it, and it'll last you like the rest of the year if you need that. It's also where you pick up your peanut butter. And butter. Don't forget your butter. You can get a big old thing of butter, and I go through butter like Johanna, since she breaks, she probably goes through a lot of butter too. But you can pick up your stock butter there. You wanted to get your nice butter over by the cheeses right after you got out of the bakery section if you're into the nice butter. That's where they keep that. But for the butter, the everyday bacon cooking butter, that making eggs butter, the kind of butter that you need for cooking and practical reasons, that's where you get it. You get a big ass box of it. You can get it there. You got your cream cheese, you got your butter, you got your eggs, you got your American slices, because You just need American slices for stuff. Right around there too, you also want to grab your bag of pancake mix, the Krusty's pancake mix. That shit will last you like 2 months in my house. Like we eat pancakes like every weekend, or at least I make pancakes every weekend, and that big old bag will last you a long time. Beyond that, you're looking at your pastas, your macaroni and cheese, all that's going to be up there. Grab it as you see fit. Make sure you get one of those big ass jars of pickles. They have like a big ass jar of pickles for like $4. It's ridiculously huge, and it'll last you a bit of time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else up there that you might need. They have syrup up there. They got those big ass Skippy peanut butter jars, like they're connected to each other. There's two of them. You get those. You can get your extra virgin olive oil, and you can get your just regular oil that you're gonna need for your cooking your chicken wings. Pick all that up right there. Yeah, and then I think that's pretty much you're good to go. I don't know what else you guys would need. You go downstairs. The big thing that I just forgot to mention right now is as you're going, keep an eye out for boxes. You're gonna need boxes to carry your shit in. So as you go, you'll see like discarded boxes here and there. Grab them on your way as you're going. Pick them up, shove them in your cart, find a place for them. Carry them around. You're gonna need them. Start to put your stuff into these boxes as you're going, if possible, to pack them up. You'll hit the elevator. You go down the elevator. You just park into the checkout line. I would say go to the checkout line that's closest to the door, because usually when you come out the elevator, you're right by the. That's where you're gonna hit the big crowds. So you might want to park your cart like at one of the first registers by the door, and then you're gonna make a beeline, grab your toilet paper, because you're gonna need. You might need toilet paper if you haven't been to Costco in a couple of months. You get a big ass thing of toilet paper. Maybe get paper towels too. I don't know. And then the last thing I would say is get baggies. If you didn't get them yet, get the sealable plastic baggies. Either I've used the gallon ones, and I've used the smaller freezer ones. They're not a gallon, but they're like, I don't know, what, a quart. You're gonna need those. And so get all that. Make sure you have it. Go through the line. You have to give them your Costco card again. You pay your $400 or whatever it was, and you call your car. You call the car service to come pick your ass up. You take your stuff outside. Have them, if you're really feeling cool, you can have them meet you around the back on 2nd Avenue. That way they don't have to they don't have to deal with all the traffic. So they can just cut through the back, 2nd Avenue, where the halal chicken is, and hopefully he's still doing okay. And you just take your stuff, pack it in there, and then head home. You're gonna need some reinforcements for getting that stuff into your apartment, though. Once you get I would call them in advance, have them out there so that you can just start unloading the car, get everything off of the car, so that you can and give the guy a tip, especially if he's only got one leg and he's helping you like move your groceries out of the trunk. Give the man a tip. One leg, twice the tip, I say. And then at that point, once you get everything into the house, you're gonna have to break it all up, because there's no way you're gonna fit that shit in your in your kitchen refrigerator, unless you have one of those big freezers. And if you live in New York, you probably don't. So what you need to do is you need to break it all up. That's what you have the Ziploc bags for. You drop your meatballs. You make servings of meatballs. You make servings of wings. You make servings of everything. Oh, and I forgot the organic berries. Don't forget those. So make sure you grab the organic mixed berries. Put those in bags too. Separate everything in bags. Pack it up. Make sure that you keep a good selection in the freezer, but also make sure you leave some stuff out in the refrigerator so that you have some stuff to cook over the next few days. And that's a trip to Costco.
Holy shit! I could have gone on a trip to Costco.
Do you have that sounds about right to you, Joe?
Yeah, I said I could have went on a trip to Costco now.
But but then you wouldn't have known all that stuff that now you know.
I learned a lot about what you eat.
Doesn't everybody?
No, I mean, I learned about the particular items you enjoy.
But, I mean, those are just what everybody enjoys.
Not necessarily.
You don't like...
Johanna's eating Hot Pockets.
Yeah, I don't eat Hot Pockets, and I don't keep bagels in the house, so...
Oh, but you're not normal people, Johanna.
That's why I said I enjoyed hearing what you eat. My goodness.
It's what people eat, Johanna. It's not just
What
me.
do people eat?
It's the whole world.
I know lots of people who don't eat Hot Pockets.
No, I mean I don't need hot pockets. Hot pockets are for the poor latchkey kid that has to come home and eat something. Um,
Okay, okay.
but yeah, so that's the trip to Costco in 5 minutes.
Uh,
Uh, very
25 minutes.
flexible sense of time there, sir.
Okay, Joe, you're up.
I forgot what are you talking about?
We're talking about how to do something. And
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Um, so most of my friends know me as Black Ops, Black Friday. So most of you know or don't know, I used to shop a lot on Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, the biggest shopping day of the year. Uh, Anytime you're shopping on Black Friday, you need a strategy. It's much like planning your family vacation, except you're planning to buy stuff here. So usually I go to Walmart on Black Friday, and here are the things you need to know before you go step into the store on Black Friday. One, you need to have a lot of people with you. This doesn't really work if you go alone because there's no way you'll be able to cover the entire store by yourself. You need people to stand on lines. You need to exchange your lists. Well, I guess the first thing would be to make a list. Let me start over. The first thing is to get your hands on the catalog, which you can get probably a couple of weeks out. Look through the catalog, make a list of all the items you want. The quantity, the amount, everything. Usually I use Excel. I do that, calculate the price and my taxes and everything in there. You have your list together. You get your group
Nobody's gonna
together.
use Excel. Come
What?
on, come on, Joe. Nobody's gonna use Excel to make their shopping list. That's crazy.
I do sometimes.
Stick to your hot pockets, okay? And chopping your chicken up. I use
It's
Excel.
already
Use
chopped
whatever
up.
you want. If you want to use a piece of paper, go right ahead. It doesn't matter. The fact is, you just make the list. I use Excel because I like to calculate my taxes uh, and all that stuff. But anyway, you have your list. Get your list together. Get your people together. I would say the more the merrier. You're gonna need them if you want to get everything in the store that you want. Okay, once you get to the store, make sure you exchange your lists. Whatever, everybody exchange lists amongst the different people. This way, uh, you'll know what somebody wants. You grab it. Who cares if the other person's grabbed it already? If you have more of the same item, you could always put them back. It doesn't matter. Uh, Give assignments. Tell people, you go to electronics, you stand online for the computer, you go get the linens, go get me the vacuum cleaner. Give assignments, let everybody know what part of the store they're going to be in. I always wanted to use walkie-talkies. I never got that deep because using the phone is very difficult. It cuts in and out. Trying to get a hold of people can't hear it ring. The walkie-talkies I always wanted to use, but I never got around to. Uh, have one person stationary in the store. Somebody stand in the store in one spot at a single location where you could bring all your stuff. So you have a couple of people standing there just watching your stuff basically, and you just pile it up because then you could divvy it up later before you go to the register. It's going to be very crowded. I like if you can bring a couple of teenagers with you, it'd be great because they don't get tired, they find it exciting, and they love going to get stuff. So bring them with you, let them run around the store, let them grab you things, and bring it back to whatever location in the store you're set up in. Then the other main thing is have money or have some credit cards because you're going to spend a lot of it, as I do. I think usually I spend, I guess not too much. I try to keep it under $1,000, or somewhere in the $600 dollar line because you get a lot of the things on sale. The video games are cheap; they're like $25. You get you can get a deep fryer for $10, a slow cooker for $10. It's everything I hope for throughout the year. So that's my short and sweet guide to shopping on Black Friday.
Wow, and I mean, doesn't everybody just do Cyber Sunday or whatever it is
You
now?
go ahead, do
I'm
Cyber
just
Monday
asking.
first
Don't
of
get,
all.
I don't do any of that shit, but
Hey, you pay more. I mean, I like finding stuff on sale. I will be honest. Last year I didn't do it because I couldn't get a crew together to do it. So I shopped online, and the medium is starting to change, where things are going on sale Thanksgiving morning at 3 a.m. So there's no way you're gonna get into a store at 3 a.m. and the store's not gonna be open. Um, so I did I did all of my shopping between 3 a.m. Thanksgiving morning and 9 a.m.
Joe,
3 to 9 a.m.
you're crazy. So you did it all online,
I did this past year. I did do it online.
and did you like it better than running around?
It was just as stressful because I had to stay up late.
Yeah.
Um, and just wait for prices to change, wait for things to go. That's when I bought I got my PS4 that night.
How
So
much
I
did
got
you
my
pay for it?
PS4, I got Madden, and I got NBA 2K15 under $400. So I was happy.
Huh. Okay. Um, okay, great. So we're gonna move right along. Now, guys, feel free to talk about like a place you like to go to, or something really specific that you like to like use. You know, like a sewing machine or a video game system or that one bar or restaurant where everybody knows your name. Another example I have is Alpine Theater in Bay Ridge. You can go there. You take the R train. You get there. Right next to them, they got a comic book store. You stop by the comic book store, check out the comics, get one comic. They'll give you the paper bag, and then in that bag, you're also going to put your soda, your candies, because they sell sodas and candies there. I've asked them to sell popcorn before, and they said that no, they wouldn't go that far as to sell popcorn. But you can definitely get your soda, your nerds, your sweet tarts, your chips. Get whatever you want. You get it there. Go right next door. Go to the movies on Wednesdays. It's $6, so you go to the movies for $6 on Wednesdays. They don't care what you have with you. It's not like at Union Square where they're like going through your bags. No, you just can walk right in. Get a ticket. You don't have to, but if you want to see 3D movies, I don't know, it might be a little bit more on Wednesdays. I'm not sure, but you might want to get a ticket for a 3D movie, because that way you can watch 3D movies, but you can just take off the glasses if you're not seeing a 3D movie because you're going to be there for a while because they have 8 theaters in there. They're usually showing at least 5 different movies, yeah, 5 or 6 different movies in those 8 theaters. And you want to get ideally you want to get a ticket for something that is going to start in a little while, and then you just want to work your way from the back. Hit theater 8. It's all the way down. Take a left. It's in the back. You can see what's going on there, and then just work your way up. If you want, you can make a schedule before you go in to kind of get an idea of what you want to see. Not necessary. And yeah, it's a great way to check out a bunch of movies and have a lot of great snacks without having to pay too much money. So that'd be another example of a way you guys could go. Who wants to go next? Malik?
Uh, Sorry, I was trying to get off of mute. So I have a quick tutorial, and then I have a place that I actually really like to go to, that I will mention towards the end of it. So, guys, I know where you. I know everybody has the same problem. I know a lot of you guys have the exact same problem. You love going out and meeting the ladies and going to the clubs and doing all of those things, but you can't fucking dance. So, this is what you do when you're going to a club and you can't dance. I have a few simple suggestions for you. Number one, do not, by all means, do not go to a Latin club. It's my experience that Latin women judge their attraction level to men by how well they dance,
Oh yes.
And Latin men, boy, can those fuckers move. So if you can't dance, don't even try it on the dance floor with a Latina. She's gonna lose interest in you. You'll get embarrassed by some Iglesias-looking motherfucker, and you're going home alone. Number two, resemble your hood drug dealer. Find a corner, own that corner. If you have to pee, damn it, hold it. If you have to leave that corner for whatever reason, you're going to lose it, so go find another one. Number three, the more wasted she is, the less of a chance she'll be able to tell that you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. So let her do all the work. And to McKenna's point earlier, you just be the pole. Let her dance all around you, up and down you, without a problem. She's drunk. She has no clue. She'll think you're amazing. And you just be the pole. She won't figure out that you can't dance until you're 3.5 months into your relationship with her.
And then you're gonna break up with her anyway.
And of
so
course.
it's fine.
Number four, when the DJ starts playing reggae, get the fuck off the dance floor immediately. Go off to the side, get your drink, and wait until the music changes. Number five, if you're going to a ska club, a metal club, or a pop club, chances are your lack of ability will go completely unnoticed, as most around you will either be too drunk to tell or they can't dance either. So, Elaine from Seinfeld jumps out at you just in general. She finds her music in clubs like that. Go and enjoy it. Go and enjoy dancing in the middle of the floor if you want to. Last but not least, if you're the guy buying the drinks, nobody will care that you two-step through your way through the night. If you're buying drinks for the women that you like, and she's feeling you, she's not gonna even remember that you couldn't dance, unless the drinks that you're buying are really really soft, and then she's actually paying attention to that shit. Or you're in a Latin club, because I'm giving them how drunk they are. They're gonna still know that you didn't know what you were doing. Um, the last thing I would say is go to a place with a live band, and this is one of the places that I've enjoyed going to. It's called the Fat Black Pussycat, and
Oh.
it's in the
West Fourth.
it's in the West Fourth Village area.
Yeah.
It's got a sister club next to it called the Village Underground. So they're all connected to what they're the two clubs connected to one another.
It's right by McDonald's.
Yeah,
West
actually,
Third.
right next door to McDonald's on West Third. I really, really love going to that place. They usually have a live band, and if you can't dance, it's really good because so many people will be focused on the band that's playing that they won't even look at you. Plus, due to the stage, they really have the smallest of dance floors, and there's only like 4 or 5 people actually dancing in front of the stage anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll be able to just kind of sit back, buy a drink, enjoy the music. You might even be able to sit down for a while and enjoy the music, unless you're there with your date, and then she's going to want you to get up and do some dancing. But the Village Underground is a great place to kind of go hang out with a group of your friends, go downstairs, listen to the music at the Village Underground. Fatback Pussycat is a bar, lounge place. You can get food there, you can get drinks there, and you can have a really good time there. And like I said, then when you go downstairs, you listen to the Village Underground, and it's really, really nice. It's also really, really small and cramped down there. So there's not a lot of space to move. So even if you could dance, you really can't do anything down there. So you can pretty much just stand where you need to be standing and watch the world go by you with your drink in your hand and enjoy moving a little bit and never showing the fact that you can't dance at all. So those would be my suggestions.
Great. That was a lot of useful advice there. What about you, McKenna? Do you have any words of wisdom?
Yes, but I have a question. So should I do, because I have one place that I could, or like one place that I could talk about back in California. So it's like, oh, if you're ever like visiting California, I can do that, or I can do a place here.
I would leave it up to you, but I would say that there's nothing wrong with doing California. 'Cause
Okay.
We do have a listenership in California.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Chico, which is where I went to college, and kind of the varying bar crawl that you can do within Chico to a couple of the major places. And if you're ever up in Chico, you can hit these spots up for a good time. So Chico is in Northern California, north of Sacramento. about an hour and a half. And there are a couple of bars that if you ask any of the locals there that you could hit up, they're not necessarily just for college students, but you are mostly going to be there with like younger people. So the first bar on the tour that I would definitely point out, and this is fun. This place is fun because not only is it a bar at night, but it's like a restaurant grill like during the day, so you can go at any time. It's called the Madison Square. No, what Madison Bear Garden, but if you call it the Madison Bear Garden, you are from out of town and nobody likes you. So if you're in Chico and you're trying to like stick it, like stay in with the locals, it's just called the Bear. So you want to start off at the Bear, and what's fun about the Bear is that depending on the night that you go, there's going to be different things going on. So if you happen to go to the Bear on a Monday night, it's going to be karaoke. So either out on the back patio if it's nice out, or in the back room, they're going to have crazy karaoke where you can sing any song, and if they don't have the song that you want, you pay the DJ $1 and he'll find the song for you online, and you get on the queue and you start singing it and everybody sings along with you. If you happen to be there on a Wednesday night, they have this tricked out tricycle. It's like a professional racing tricycle, and there's a course that you go on through the restaurant and out the back, like on the back patio, and then back in, and then at the end of the race you chug a beer, and whoever does it in the quickest amount of time wins a free t-shirt and a free burger. The burgers are insane. They have things like the Jiffy Burger, which has peanut butter on it, or my personal favorite, the Grizzly Grilled Cheeseburger, which is a bacon cheeseburger with, it's a bacon burger with grilled cheese sandwiches as the buns. So, the Bear is also known for its really good mixer shots. So one of my favorites is the Scooby Snack, and it's really cheap. All the beers are super cheap. If you're part of the Mug Club, which means that you've had a beer on tap, every beer that they have on tap at least once, then you get like an extra large glass, and you get beers for like $2 or something like that. So the Bear's really fun. There's a dance floor upstairs. The whole ceiling and everything around is just covered in like stuff that you would find in like attics and basements, and it's just a really good time. So you head out from the Bear, and you're like thinking to yourself, all right, that beer was good, that burger was good, now I need to get shit-faced. So you head literally down the street 1 block, and you're at Panama's. And Panama's is known for their mixed teas. And when I say mixed teas, I mean like Long Island iced teas on steroids. So the Panama's Bar and Grill has 31 teas, specialty teas, and whatever day of the month it is, so if it's the 16th, then tea number 16, say it's the Tahitian tea, I don't know, it's the special that day. So if it's the 2nd, then it's number 2. But whatever day of the week it is, that tea is $2. All the rest of the teas are $3, regular price, and they have a saying when you go into Panama's. It's 1 tea, 2 tea, 3 tea, floor. You have that last tea after 4. You have your 4th tea, and they're rolling you out of there. So you head over to Panama's, and you start having whatever specialty tea it is for the day. You have your 3 teas for $6, and then you go into the back of Panama's, which is like a greenhouse. It's like a covered greenhouse dance floor, and you can hang out there. You can dance, do whatever, or you keep walking through the greenhouse, and you're now in another bar called the Beach. And the Beach is kind of Chico's like resident dance club, where it has like a tiki bar in the middle of the dance floor, so you can be like dancing or doing whatever, or you can just run over to the tiki bar and start getting like crazy, like, absinthe shots, or God, I don't know, Red Bull and vodka, because that's kind of what you need at this point. So you dance for a while, you get up on stage, you're doing whatever, and then you decide, you know what, I need something a little less crazy, a little more relaxed. So you walk out of Panama's through another hallway out of the beach, and you walk through another hallway that's in the back, and you're in another bar called University Bar or U Bar. And what's fun about U Bar is they've got pool tables, they've got a 4-person Pac-Man like game console that you can play, and it's usually a little bit quieter in there. They serve beers, $2 beers, and you can just, drink there, kind of end up the night. But if it's a Wednesday night, you gotta hit up LaSalle's. And what's fun about LaSalle's, and it's only a block away, is that LaSalle's does $5 pitchers on Wednesday nights of whatever you want. $5 pitchers of margaritas, $5 pitchers of Dirty Shirley's, AMFs, beer, whatever you want. But the only caveat is if you're going to get a $5 pitcher at LaSalle's on Wednesdays, you're only allowed to drink it out of the pitcher with a straw. You cannot pour it and you cannot share it. That's their only thing. You can also head down to Riley's, which is a few blocks away. They have dollar shots on Thursdays, I think. And I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, you can always head over to the Grad too. If you're gonna watch a really important game, or if you're gonna do your fantasy football like Malik was saying, you definitely want to head over to the Grad. Because they've got giant projectors that have got all the games going on, really good burgers, really good tater tots, and obviously very cheap alcohol. And for a fancier time, you head in, you just jump in the car real quick, go like 5 minutes down the road, and you are at the Sierra Nevada Brewery, and you can go in and do a whole tour of the Sierra Nevada Brewery, or you can just go into their dining room and do a taste testing of all of the beers there. You can get all of your Sierra Nevada swag, and yes, Chico is known for having Sierra Nevada Pale Ale on tap for $3. So that's your little drinking tour through Chico. And I missed a whole bunch of bars like the the Oasis, and a couple of other places, but those are the Crazy Horse, but those are just a couple of general ones that you definitely want to make sure are on your bar crawl of Chico, California.
Wow, that was extensive. There's a lot of bars in Chico, California, huh?
I didn't even name them all, and they're all in about a 5-block radius.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Johanna, would you like to add a little something to the mix?
Yeah, so I want to talk about how to go to a concert that has a general admission area, because it's a little different than one with seating. So if in case our listeners aren't aware, general admission basically means standing room only. It basically means like a square, like a floor area in front of the stage, and it's kind of like not a fight to the death, but anyway, like the first thing you're going to want to do is, unless you're like in an outdoor space or whatever and there isn't one, you're going to want to check all your shit. Especially I've gone to concerts after work, you got to check your shit. Second thing is, wear something that has pockets so that you don't have to carry your purse and shit on you. Those are two very important things. Otherwise, you're like awkwardly dancing with like a wallet in your hand, and that's not a good look. The third thing is something that I learned when I went to see Robin and Royksopp last year, and that is, as Joe pointed out, that eat. You need to eat beforehand, and if you haven't eaten, gone to the bathroom, etc., like, hold the pee and bring power bars, because what's going to happen if you're going to be the first person in line, let's say, because if you really like the concert and it's a big venue, you're going to want to stand in line sometimes an hour. Sometimes I've stood in line for 6 hours if it was a really popular concert and I wanted to get up in front. So after all that, you're going to let people go in front of you because you have to tinkle and you have to like buy like an overpriced meal item. You don't want to do that. So, you make a beeline for the front, and if you're in the front, like the people in front of you are usually very static, so you can like figure out like where you can get the best line of sight so that you're not in the back of some like 6-foot assholes like head, which is unfortunately what happens the further you get back. Oh, I forgot one of the big things at the beginning is bring a friend. If you can, bring a friend. It's a lot more fun if you bring a friend. If you're by yourself, it's kind of lonely. And yeah, you enjoy the music, but it's not the same thing. And then before that preamble is if it's a venue that you don't know, you might want to ask your friends about it. Like especially if it seems like kind of intimidating. Now, the big thing is making gigantic venues of like from airport hangars, right? And so they're huge. But that means that there's tons of like bodies and people pushing up towards the stage. It can feel claustrophobic, and also there isn't a clear way as to how to get out of the venue in case you have a panic attack, like some of us do. So knowing that in mind, I read reviews of the venue. I was really kind of freaked out because it's like, oh, it's just one big, bare space. It's really difficult to navigate. So I actually got in touch with a friend of mine, Niels, who goes to a lot of concerts, and I knew he'd gone to Terminal 5. And I was like, hey, where's the best place to stand or go? He said, go up to the second floor, and there's a balcony. And so my friend and I did that, and it was actually like we had the best view. It was right behind VIP and the sound mixer or whatever. Anyway, so like I said, if you've been in line that long, you owe it to yourself to eat a power bar and hold your tinkle if you didn't go before. And that's it. Like, I don't drink, so I don't know about that business, except that it would make you pee. I'm kind of hardcore about my concerts. Like, I'm really there to see the performers perform live and the music. I'm not necessarily there to get drunk or high, as it were. I'm just really there for the music. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, don't wear heels. I know some chicks do it. Don't do it. I actually went to Bragg Time. I saw Paul McCartney in concert like 3 weeks ago, and it was standing room only, and I wore kitten heels, and I was like, I thought we were going to sit. It was standing room. I'm like, well, these are just kitten heels. By the end of the night, I had to practically peel the shoes off of my poor abused feet. In terms of other, I mean, like, just how you want. Like, some people wear tour concerts, some people don't. In terms of a favorite venue, I don't really have one. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I used to go to a lot of concerts, and Roseland was pretty cool because I don't know if it's still around, because they had seats on each side. So if you really didn't feel good, you could just kind of hang out by there. But yeah, other than that, no, I don't think I have a favorite venue, and I'm not sure about a favorite place, unfortunately. I can't think of one right now. So there you go.
Okay. I think that about does it as far as all the knowledge that we have to share with everybody. Does anybody have any last words of wisdom that they would like to depart on our lovely audience?
Wait, is everyone still there?
Everyone's here. I think we're all waiting for someone to depart.
Oh.
Some wisdom.
Okay, so nobody's got any wisdom to depart.
Nobody step up to me when they're trying to make up an awesome story. I think that's what we learned today.
I'll tell you this.
Go ahead, Joe.
One little tidbit. It's late at night here in New York City, and I need to get some sleep, so I'm going to wear a nose strip tonight. So if you want to get some good night's sleep, wear a nose strip.
Okay, I'll try that.
Also, I'm going to whisk the fuck out of you for keeping us up so late.
Any other words of advice there? Malik, I know you got something to say.
I'm already half sleeping, so if you see Lorenzo tomorrow morning in the train station and he's taking pictures of trains going by, smack him from the back of his head for us, please.
Seriously.
For realsies.
give him a front view. I don't know. Get, you get 3D.
All right, guys. Well, I think that about does it for us tonight. Thank you, Asian, so much for playing along. Really enjoy, as always, getting a chance to get to know you guys a little bit better and know what you know a little bit better. So hopefully you learned something, and maybe you had a laugh or two. This has been the Agents of Helm. This has been the What You Know show. As always, you can find us on agentsofhelm.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and what's it called? The one with the pictures?
Pinterest.
Pinterest. And Pinterest. Feel free to give us a piece of your mind. We're interested in what you got to say, negative, positive. We don't care. But definitely subscribe if you haven't yet. Just hit the subscribe button. It's right there. Give us some stars. Give us some comments. We're dying to hear what you got to say. So for Johanna, McKenna, Malik, and Joe, this is Lorenzo, and we're signing off. Have a great night. See you soon.
Yeah, for realsies.